Chapter 320. While the people of Elm Tree Village were happy, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao and Registrar Zhan ignored their tiredness and asked someone to take them to the dock. They sat in the same car and talked with their eyes closed while resting. Brother Shangyun, when we get there you tell them the truth. Tell them that if they want the land they have to talk to Zhangzhong. If Zhangzhong doesn't agree they can forget about getting the land. I will give them an idea and ask them to find the ginseng. As long as they find the ginseng it will be easy. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao said to Registrar Zhan. At this time they had to arrange their own division of labor. Otherwise, when the land was taken by Zhangzhong and the money was taken by Zhangzhong, they would lose more than they gained. Registrar Zhan also knew this and said, when the time comes it will be up to me. I will be responsible for reporting some of the things that the county magistrate did. As long as I report it, he won't dare to give it to us. If we want to get the land we have to give both of us benefits. Yes, that's it. Not only that, when they do business here we will share a part of it. No matter what kind of business it is we can pay for it ourselves. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao found that it was impossible to continue to give out money. He had to find a way to make money continuously. He didn't believe that those businessmen would dare to disagree. The two of them discussed for a while and then lay there to sleep. They only slept for less than an afternoon and had not fully recovered. Registrar Zhan kept muttering in his sleep. Occasionally he would mention Zhangzhong's name. It seemed that he lost a lot of money this time. The businessmen were indeed at the dock now. Erniu led them to walk around and let them see what these places were suitable for. As for the dock, they were not in charge of it. Bai Shu's nephew had bought this place and made it similar to the dock at Little Luoshui. The only pity was that there was no such mountain and they couldn't make a lake. The place he chose was a wasteland and now there were some restaurants and warehouses being built. He planned to operate the restaurants and rent out the warehouses at the same time. Everything was done according to Little Luoshui's plan. In the future, the people who would be used to carry goods at the dock would also be found in Huayuan County. This could provide many jobs for Huayuan County. At this time, Erniu was talking to those masters about what kind of situation would happen when this place developed well in the future. In fact, the merchants didn't need to listen to Erniu to know that the example of Little Luoshui was there. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come here to look for Deputy County Magistrate Xiao and Registrar Zhan, who knew that they would come at such a coincidental time. In just a short time, they were able to occupy the fertile land as if it was a wasteland. However, they were found out by the new county magistrate. Everything was over. The businessmen also knew that Erniu was the new county magistrate's man. When they were brought out to see the place today, they thought that the new county magistrate just didn't want to give the benefits to the Registrar Zhan and Deputy County Magistrate. It was not that he didn't want them to occupy the land. In the future, the boats here will not only be used to transport goods and people, they can also help people from the other side to send letters to the capital. Especially for some scholars, the things that they write will not be known by others. Our restaurants here will be in charge of spreading the news. Every few days we will invite some scholars to various places for a gathering. Along the way it will be all money. Erniu continued to talk. The businessmen really didn't know about this. They listened attentively. Erniu continued, also in the future we will make a place like the Pear Garden. Maybe the emperor will be happy to come and take a look. Then this place will be different. You all have to think carefully about where to choose. This, Brother Erniu, if this place is also called the Pear Garden, will the emperor be unhappy? When a businessman heard this, he felt that countless money was about to be thrown at him. However, he was a little worried about the name. Then let's change the name. When the time comes, we will invite the people from the Pear Garden in the capital to come and compete. They are not ordinary people. There won't be many people willing to pay 100 copper coins for their singing, dancing, playing, etc., right? Erniu continued to speak according to Zhang Xiaobao's words. The businessmen were all thinking about how much money they could earn when the time came, but they didn't think about how many people were here. In such a joyous atmosphere, the businessmen had forgotten about the price they had to pay. The businessman who asked just now finally couldn't help but ask directly, Brother Erniu, what does your master want us to do? If it's about money, give us a number. We will think about it. It shouldn't be too difficult. The other businessmen also thought about this matter. They looked at Erniu and waited for him to give a number. They felt that this was the reason why the new county magistrate asked Erniu to bring them here. However, Erniu shook his head. Don't you know what kind of status my master has? Zhangzhe Zhuangzi belongs to my master. Little Luo Shui also belongs to my master. How much money can you take out? What you need to do is to do other things. My master doesn't have the final say on how much land to occupy. In the Yamen, there is still the deputy county magistrate and the registrar. Especially the registrar. He can directly report some things to them. Do you see any place that isn't fertile land? Only this pier occupies a saline alkali land. We have to think of a way. After Erniu's words, the businessmen were in a dilemma. They really didn't know what to do. If they were to give money, how much would they have to give to make the other party satisfied? At this moment, the car of Deputy County Magistrate Xiao and Registrar Zhan arrived. The two of them didn't care about whether the car was bumpy or not. They slept soundly in the car. When the car stopped, they were still snoring. The servant plucked up the courage to wake the two of them up, and then brought the wet towels to wipe their faces. We've arrived? What time is it now? Deputy County Magistrate Xiao wiped his face and asked. In reply to Master, we have arrived. It will be midnight in half an hour. Get out of the carriage and take a look. The brightly lit place in front of us is the pier here. The merchants should all be there. Should I go and inform them and ask them to come over? Or do you want to go there personally? The servant said respectfully as he pointed in the direction of the room. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao hesitated and said, I'll go there later. We can eat something there. At this moment, Registrar Zhan didn't care anymore. He left everything to Deputy County Magistrate Xiao. The two of them tidied up their clothes and continued to head there. The businessmen were almost done drinking. They kept asking Erniu about things. For example, what did the county magistrate like? What did his family like? They started to think of a solution. Erniu, what do you think about sending a pretty concubine to your master? I heard that he only has one wife. How can one be enough? In the future, he will be in a big family. He can have as many as he wants. A businessman thought of the most commonly used method. He didn't want to send money but people. He wanted to find a pretty woman to send to Zhangzhong. Erniu shook his head like a rattle drum. If you really dare to send a woman, don't even think about occupying any land here. Master will kick you out of Huayuan County. In the future, you won't even be able to take this route by boat. Erniu knew his master well. He wouldn't look for another woman. He usually treated his wife well. Moreover, he had a son who was protective of his mother. No other woman would dare to enter the house. This kind of thing must never happen. The businessman who came up with this idea was obviously disappointed. He carefully thought about it again. At this time, the people at the dock had already noticed the car coming from the other side. They asked from the side, "Is there anyone else?" "They're coming from that side." Everyone was eating and drinking at the pier. They looked in the direction that the man pointed. Sure enough, there were two cars coming towards them, one in front and one behind. There were lanterns in front of the cars. They were a little far away, so they couldn't see what was written. When the cars got closer, they knew who was coming. The businessmen felt that things were not going well. They originally wanted to settle the matter of the county magistrate first before looking for the registrar official and the deputy county magistrate. Now that these two people came here, they must have known that Erniu was from the county magistrate's family and brought them here. Could it be that this matter of occupying land was going to be settled? While the businessmen were thinking, the people at the pier had already sailed the boats to pick them up. Two people came down from the carriage one after another. With the help of the lanterns, who else could it be but the registrar official and the deputy county magistrate? Erniu saw the uneasiness of the merchants and persuaded them. "It's okay. I'll go to the back and take a look. You guys talk to them. Just right. If you can convince them, then it'll be easy to talk to my master." "Thank you so much, Brother Erniu. Then I will have to trouble you. We will talk to Deputy County Magistrate Xiao and Registrar Official Zhan." A businessman saw that Erniu took the initiative to go to the back and was finally relieved. Not long after Erniu left, the registrar official and the deputy county magistrate arrived. The businessmen all stood up and complimented them. "How is it? How is it? Deputy County Magistrate Xiao asked deliberately. The businessmen who had just been relieved were worried again. They did not know why these two people came here. At this time, the businessman who talked to Ernie just now replied, "We just want to take a look. No matter which land we choose, we will need the Deputy County Magistrate and the Registrar official. Both of you came at the right time. We have just eaten. Let's eat together." Deputy County Magistrate Xiao looked at the dishes that were almost finished and did not expose them. He nodded and said, "Okay. I don't know how you will find the county magistrate after you choose the land. You should know that the county magistrate's family is not short of money." Deputy County Magistrate Xiao is right. We are also worried about it. Please help us to smooth things over. We will definitely reward you handsomely. The 5,000 strings of coins that we agreed on before will not be less. Another businessman took the opportunity to say. Chapter 321. Xiao Bao, do you think they will be fooled? What if they don't do what you want them to do? Won't our plan be in vain? On the couch, Wang Wan wasn't sure if those people would follow Zhang Xiaobao's plan and walk all the way down to improve Huayuan County's economy. Zhang Xiaobao was not worried at all. It doesn't matter if they follow our plan or not. At most, we will continue our plan. As long as they still want to occupy this place, and as long as the county magistrate and the county magistrate still want to make more money, there will always be a plan that suits them. Today my father is really good. He tricked them once. I guess they used a lot of loan sharks. Now they are finished. There are only two kinds of people who can borrow money. One is gamblers and the other is people who have difficulties in life or need money to treat their illness. Well, almost. Gamblers are lucky this time. Those people who have difficulties in life must be grateful to your father. They are not fools. Of course they know the reason. Wang Wan did not expect Zhang Xiaobao's father to do such a big thing today. Speaking of gambling, Wang Wan had a new idea. She nudged Zhang Xiaobao and said, "Can we not let them gamble like this? We can help them gamble like lottery. In this way they can be more stable. Then we can earn a lot of money. We can set up a name and send a part of the money to disasters. Not in our name, but in the name of your father, the county magistrate, representing the imperial court and the emperor. During this process we can use the money to invest and make more money. Is that okay?" "Sure, why not? But this money can't be earned by us. We should directly report it to the imperial court and let His Majesty deal with it directly. When the time comes we'll pay a large portion of it and keep a small portion, or we'll pay all of it and let them send some money back. In fact, doing this is just to amass money. There's no way to ban gambling at all. Those who like to gamble will continue to gamble while buying lottery tickets. The only way is to catch them ruthlessly. Once caught, beat them ruthlessly. You can't punish them because it's useless. After being punished, they'll think of gambling back the money they lost." Zhang Xiaobao agreed with Wang Wan's idea. It was not from the perspective of banning gambling but to make money. As for banning gambling, the only way to catch them was to give them a few lashes or parade them through the streets. There was no such human rights here. Let everyone watch and scare those who gamble. Wang Wan also knew that this matter could never be stopped. He gambled until he lost his family fortune, and gambled until his wife and children were separated. It had never stopped. Will it work if we just catch them and beat them? What if they run to a hidden place to gamble? You'll know once you try. Increase the intensity. Unless the person is particularly addicted to gambling, no one will gamble when they can be caught at any time. You can let people report it. When the time comes, you can give them some rewards or something. As long as there are enough bailiffs, they can suppress it. Tomorrow, I'll tell my father in Sanshui County. People gamble whether they are poor or rich. Especially when there is no work to do, they will naturally gamble when they are bored. Go to sleep. Maybe there will be ginseng sent here tomorrow." As Xiaobao spoke, he felt sleepy. He turned around and fell asleep after a while. Wang Wan glanced at the candle that had not been extinguished. She muttered, "It's fine to give it a try. As long as you don't gamble like before, it's fine." She fell asleep too. Those who needed to sleep went to sleep, but some people were destined to not be able to sleep tonight. The merchants at the dock and the county magistrate talked about which piece of land they wanted. There were already people who went to buy ginseng. It was not easy to find 100-year-old ginseng, but if you wanted to buy it, there was still a chance to buy it. The county magistrate and the county magistrate were prepared to discuss with the merchants how to deal with the county magistrate. Now they were only dealing with the land. They would think of a way to deal with Zhang Zhong himself later. The people of Yushu village could not sleep at night. They had a good meal today. Making dumplings took a lot of effort, so they made wontons. The children also ate a lot. They were all full and did not sleep at night. They came out to play. The adults were thinking about the future, so they chatted with their neighbors. Once they chatted, they did not want to sleep. Even the people from Zhangzhe Zhuangzi who came to deliver things were pulled to talk to them. They asked how life was in Zhangzhe Zhuangzi and what it would be like in the future. The people from Zhangzhe Zhuangzi told the villagers the truth. They even told the villagers that in the future, this place would be like Zhangzhe Zhuangzi. The villagers were all smiles when they heard this. There were also those who could not sleep. They were the prisoners who were released. With the money given by the county magistrate, they all ran back home like crazy. Some ran back home and their families were all there. They hugged each other and cried bitterly. When they took out the money again, their families were happy again. They started talking in the afternoon and talked until night time. However, there were also some who ran back to their homes and found that none of their families were there. They asked their neighbors, but the neighbors said that they did not know. These people could only cry by themselves. There was also one family who had not slept well for a few days. It was the Chun family of Zhuangzi, which was next to the Yuan family. When they found out that the old master of the Zhang family came to their county to be the county magistrate, they were afraid of revenge. They were so scared that they lit all the torches and lanterns at night. When they fell asleep, they would wake up with nightmares. The head of the family did not let the brother of the original concubine be the housekeeper anymore. He arranged for him to do odd jobs. The concubine did not go there often either. The reason why he kept the original steward Zhang was so that if the Zhang family came looking for trouble one day, he could hand this person over to take care of them. When different people experienced different things, the night finally passed. After dawn, the unbearable night and fear dissipated a lot. Life still had to go on. Even if there was only one prisoner left, as long as there was still hope for them to find their families, they would go and look for them. When the first ray of sunlight penetrated the sky and shone down, people got up and started to do their work. After the spring plowing, people also went to the fields to take a look. As long as the head of weeds grew, it had to be uprooted. The people who did business also set up their stalls or opened their shops. Some restaurants in the county were not open in the morning. They would only open at noon when there were more people. The only exception was Jinlai restaurant. They opened their doors early in the morning and prepared all kinds of porridge. Even if there were very few people who could come to eat, they still persisted. According to Xiao Bao's words, this was a habit. When the time came, this kind of restaurant would not only open in these places, but would also open in other prefectural roads. With the same signboard, as long as those who were in a hurry or had special things to do found that they could not eat elsewhere in the morning and could eat in this kind of restaurant in the morning, when the restaurant opened in other places in the future, this kind of thoughtfulness would continue. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan ate in the courtyard. Zhang Xiaobao had to continue pretending to be sick. He could only continue to show his face outside after the merchants bought the land. Zhang Zhong, on the other hand, went to the restaurant to eat. There were already a lot of bailiffs and people working in the government office. Now they were eating their breakfast here. It was a benefit. After all, the government office had no money. Although it wasn't cheap to buy breakfast in Jinlai restaurant, the cost was very low. Zhang Zhong didn't lack this money. It was not only the people who received the food, but also the servants who did odd jobs in the yamen. They were forgotten in the beginning and were later replaced. Now they could also eat breakfast in the restaurant. All of this was arranged. Zhang Zhong could talk to the people in the yamen while eating, ask about things, and get closer to each other. It was better than just giving out food, especially if some people knew some gossip. "Sir, you are here. Please sit here." A bailiff was eating and talking with his colleagues. When he saw Zhang Zhong come in, he quickly stood up and pulled out an empty chair next to him. Zhang Zhong did not sit there. Instead, he pulled out a chair next to the bailiff and sat on it. He looked at the bailiff's food and said to the waiter, "A big bowl of tofu pudding and 2 side dishes. What fillings do you have for the buns today?" Master, there are lamb, pork, onion, chives, eggs, and shrimp stuffing for the buns. There is no beef stuffing. Which one do you want, master? The waiter asked. The way he spoke was different from the others. He did not shout so loudly and did not count his lips. Zhang Zhong did not like to eat chives or anything else. He thought for a while and said, change it. No tofu pudding. Give me a big bowl of soy milk and a gene of fruit. Master, please wait a moment. I will bring it to you right away. The waiter turned and ran away. Zhang Zhong then said to the 3 bailiffs who had already sat down at the table, in the future, when you come here for breakfast, ask for a few more side dishes. It's not worth much. Do you think I can't even afford this? Hearing the county magistrate call them master, the 3 bailiffs laughed. One of them said, Sir, only you are so good to us. If we met other county bailiffs and told them, they would not believe us. Oh, except for the one from Sanshui County. Your Zhuangzi is there. What's so good about it? I am counting on you to work hard in the future. What's the big deal about eating something? Come eat. You guys eat first. My share will be here soon. No matter how many people are waiting, you have to prepare it for me first. Right? Let's eat. Zhang Zhong appeared very amiable at this time. It was just like when he chatted with the villagers. When there was no official business, there was no need to keep a straight face. The bailiffs hesitated for a moment but still ate. At this time, the waiter brought the soy milk and youtiao. He also specially prepared a portion of stinky tofu for Zhang Zhong. This was also not prepared for people. Otherwise, some people would not be willing to smell it. Since Zhang Zhong liked it, he did not care about others. Chapter 322. Sir, don't you like tofu pudding? Why did you change it to soy milk? A yamen runner asked in confusion as he recalled the exchange just now. Well, look, you can eat the steamed buns and drink the tofu pudding together. But this fruit is a little hard to chew directly. I like to drink it with this soy milk. There's no such good food now, unlike at home. At home I drink milk. What do you think of this fruit? Zhang Zhong explained what to eat and what to eat. Then he said, actually you should eat porridge when eating buns. I don't like porridge, so I want tofu pudding. Generally speaking, tofu pudding is eaten with flatbread. I don't put sugar in my soy milk, and I don't put chives in my tofu pudding. Your Excellency, I understand now. If I eat the steamed buns and drink the soy milk, the fragrance of the steamed buns will be gone after a sip of the soy milk. Your Excellency, this is the first time I've eaten this fruit. It's delicious. The yamen runner who asked the question nodded in agreement. As for whether it was true or not, it didn't matter. If Sir said to eat it this way, then it should be eaten this way. Another yamen runner said, of course the fruit is delicious. It's fried with flour. Who can afford to eat it? It's just that we're living a good life by following Milord. Milord, don't worry, we'll listen to you in the future. We're not ingrates. Milord treats us well, so we'll help Milord get things done. Milord, what do you want to do? Let's not talk about official business. We'll talk about official business when we get to the yamen. Why don't you take the opportunity to talk about other things now? Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. Tell me, who do you have in your family? As long as it's a child, I can make clothes for you. If there's anyone in your family who's about to give birth, you must tell me. I can guarantee that your child will be born smoothly. Don't hide if someone in your family is sick. I'm different from others. When a yamen runner is in trouble, he'll work hard. He can't wait until something happens to the orphan. The yamen won't care about this part of the money, so I'll pay for it. As for whether people will call me stupid, I don't care. I have money, so there's nothing I can do about it, right? Zhang Zhong began to follow Zhang Xiaobao's practice and arranged family matters for the bailiffs. Back then, Zhang Xiaobao had said that the job of a bailiff was a life and death situation. If you arrested them and they didn't resist, you should take care of them more often so that the bailiff would feel more at ease. What Zhang Zhong said was the truth and he did not think much of it. He was used to it, but it was different in the ears of the bailiffs. These words were heartwarming. Thinking about the bailiffs of Sanshui County, no one felt that the county magistrate was joking. Some of the weak-willed ones already had red eyes. Zhang Zhong quickly said, "What are you doing? When we reach the yamen later, each of you will write down a list of things that happened in your homes. Now tell me, did you hear anything strange? I'm a person who likes to inquire. After asking around, I found out about the top scorer. I'm just asking about the top scorer. The bailiffs were amused by these words again. They were all thinking about it. Suddenly, a bailiff at the table next to them asked, "Sir, how is your son? If he can't do it, let's take a break for 2 days. Everyone in the yamen will go to the mountains to dig for ginseng." Zhang Zhong did not expect the bailiffs to remember this matter. He had forgotten about it himself. He thought for a while and said, "Fortunately, in a few days you will see him alive and kicking. At that time you will have to lead him to play." The bailiffs expressed their knowledge one after another. Zhang Zhong listened with a smile on his face. "My lord, I heard something this morning. There was a man named Zhang Chang. After he was released, his family was gone. He cried all night. Sad to talk about it." A yamen runner suddenly said at this time, "Oh, his family is gone. Then what is he doing now?" Zhang Zhong did not expect such a thing. He also felt sad for the person named Zhang Chang. "I don't know. Sir, if you want to know, I'll go and ask around. Sir, it's easy for such a person to get into trouble. If he takes things too hard, it's fine if he dies, but what if he implicates others?" The yamen runner reminded, "Oh yes, you eat first. I forgot something. I will go back and get it." Zhang Zhong did not have a good way to solve this problem. He was ready to go to his son's place. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were eating there. When they saw their father come in and mention this matter, Zhang Xiaobao frowned and thought about it. "Father, in fact you can find something for the person named Zhang Chang to do. That's good. Let him be a postman who specializes in delivering letters. If he can write, it'll be even better. He can carry the 4 treasures of the study with him. If the family wants to send the letter to someone who can't read, they can ask him to write for them. Now he can send the letter to the county and then send it to the surrounding counties. If he can find someone to do this, then he can send it to the whole province. It will make him famous. He can also take care of the search. As long as he meets someone, he can help to contact them. In this way, when he becomes famous as a messenger, his family may be able to find him. He will feel the pain of not having a family. In the future, when he sends letters and searches, he will be more serious." "Father, what do you think?" Zhang Xiaobao came up with such an idea. "Well, Xiaobao, do as you say. I will go back and ask someone to find him. In the future, he will be in charge of delivering letters around here." Zhang Zhong said happily, turned around and walked out quickly. Zhang Xiaobao continued to drink the soy milk. Wang Wan looked at him and suddenly said, "Xiaobao, your mind is not so simple, right? Don't always have other intentions. I am a very simple person. Think about it. I came up with an idea in such a short time. How can I think about other things?" Zhang Xiaobao said with an aggrieved face, "Yes, you can. Tell me, what follow-up have you thought of? I won't let you spread it." Wang Wan didn't care about Zhang Xiaobao's expression at all. Zhang Xiaobao drank another mouthful of soy milk. Seeing that Wang Wan was still staring at him, he finally couldn't help but say, "Well, I'll say it. In fact, it's nothing. When they have more people, they will ask around when they send letters. Whether they are active or passive, they can get some seemingly insignificant news. You know the news, right? It's information. Do you still need me to say the importance of information? When they develop, we will provide them with help. When the time comes, the further they send the letters, the longer our information network will extend. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. Just like you know that I have something else." Wang Wan suddenly laughed and pinched Zhang Xiaobao's face. "You little brain. When you were thinking of a way for your father to settle down, one was to send letters seriously, and the other was to find his family. In the end, there was something hidden behind this matter just for a short while. Inspiration, this is called inspiration. Can also be said to be talent. The most important thing. Hurry up and eat before it gets cold." Zhang Xiaobao felt that this matter wasn't worth exaggerating. It was just an idea, and it happened to be in such a situation. Zhang Zhong returned to the restaurant once again, and told the yamen runners about this matter. The yamen runners expressed their approval, and some even suggested that everyone who wanted to find their family members should join in. This way they could do things while looking for their family members. This matter was settled. The group of people ate breakfast, burped, and walked towards the yamen. On the way, it was the first time that the commoners saw so many people from the yamen working together. They all stopped to watch. One of the people who had eaten at Jinlai restaurant just now began to tell the story. A circle of people gathered around him, listening to him talk about how the yamen runners didn't need to spend money to eat, how the county magistrate spoke kindly to the yamen runners, and how he thought of a way to help a person who had just been released from prison. These were all things that the commoners were willing to listen to, especially when the county magistrate thought of a way to help a person who had just been released. Many of the commoners were moved, and they recounted this matter to everyone they met. When Deputy Xiao and Registrar Zhan, who had stayed up the whole night, came back around noon, they could hear the commoners praising the new county magistrate. "Brother Byong, what exactly happened? It's only been one night. How did the commoners become like this?" When Registrar Zhan heard the praises for the new county magistrate, he felt uncomfortable and worried. He was afraid that when the two of them worked together to drive the county magistrate away, the commoners wouldn't accept it. When that time came, they would send a report to the higher-ups and the higher-ups would send people to investigate. Where could Deputy Xiao find out? He also didn't know. He was also surprised and worried. How many days had Zhang Zhong been here? Counting the days before and after, today should be the 4th day. What did he do in these 4 days? Why did the commoners praise him? Facing Registrar Zhan's questioning gaze, he directly said, "How would I know? I'll know when I go back and ask later. There are many good things that the commoners have done for the officials. Those who should be dismissed have to be dismissed. Let's hurry up." Under his instructions, the carriage sped up a little. However, it didn't dare to go too fast. If it bumped into a commoner, the commoners would say anything. After a while, the carriage finally arrived at the yamen. Registrar Zhan and Deputy Xiao got off one after another. The yamen runners standing there hurriedly greeted them. "Qi Ran, did something happen in the county?" Deputy Xiao asked one of the yamen runners. "Sir, nothing happened." "Sir, did you hear that something happened?" The yamen runner called Qi Ran asked doubtfully. "Yes, it's good that nothing happened. Is the county magistrate here?" Hearing the yamen runner's words, Deputy Xiao didn't ask anything else. He couldn't ask the commoners why they all praised the county magistrate. It was obvious that they were jealous. "Sir, the county magistrate has been here for a long time. He said that he was waiting for the two of you to come back and meet him. There's something important." The yamen runner replied again. Chapter 323. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao and Registrar Zhan walked into the yamen with confused expressions. They didn't know why Zhang Zhong was looking for them. Their antagonistic relationship seemed to have been confirmed, but he still wanted to look for them. Did he want to cheat them again? Just like that, the two of them walked to the signing room. They walked around but didn't see anyone. After encountering a bailiff, they found out that Zhang Zhong didn't do anything in front, but had run to the dilapidated area at the back. The two of them looked at each other and walked back. They knew that Zhang Zhong was going to spend his own money to repair the house behind the yamen. Including today, it should have taken him 2.5 days to repair it. They wondered if those messy things had been cleaned up. Passing through a moon gate, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao and Registrar Zhan rubbed their eyes in disbelief. They couldn't reconcile the scene in front of them with the situation in the yamen before. All the houses behind were gone. The potholes on the ground couldn't be found, and there were no weeds. The ground was covered with yellow sand, and there were many piles of bluestone waiting to be paved. Dozens of people were digging the foundation in this yard. Since they still couldn't find Zhang Zhong here, the two of them continued to walk in another direction. The two of them knew that the residents behind the yamen in Huaiyuan County occupied a large area. There were 12 courtyards connected together. If it wasn't for the official who built this residence being executed, the official who took office later wouldn't have gone outside to look for a place. Ominous places were always taboo. They didn't expect that Zhang Zhong dared to live here and made a big gesture of building. Was he not afraid of this ominous house, or did he not know about it? Deputy County Magistrate Xiao laughed and walked to another courtyard. When he arrived at this courtyard, he found that it was no longer the dilapidated house. To be precise, there was no house at all. Hundreds of people were digging holes here. They didn't know how these people were doing. The hole had been dug to a depth of 10 feet, But it seemed that it was not enough. They continued to dig, which made them wonder if the people who were executed buried something valuable here. Otherwise, why would they dig such a deep hole? Following the small path beside the courtyard, the two of them arrived at another courtyard. Fortunately, there was no one here to continue digging. Instead, there were many wooden planks that had been transported here. Similarly, it was unknown what they were used for. Brother Byong, why can't I see what kind of house the county magistrate wants to build? Registrar Jean said loudly on purpose. Not only for Deputy County Magistrate Xiao to hear, but also for the people who were walking back and forth. Otherwise, he wouldn't mention the county magistrate and just call him by his name. What he didn't expect was that those people who were working didn't seem to hear him. They were still working very quickly and seriously. Seeing that this method didn't work, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao directly asked a person who was hanging a wire there, "What do you want to fix here? Do you know us?" "Yes, Deputy District Magistrate and Registrar General. We need to build something like a house here. Both of you are busy. I can't afford to waste any time here." That person glanced at the two of them and continued with his work. The person beside him was also very serious, as if he didn't see the two of them. This made Registrar General and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao puzzled. Since when did the people in Huayuan County become so serious? They glanced around and happened to see a yamen runner standing there. He also looked at them and waved his hand. The yamen runner ran over and said, "Deputy County Magistrate Xiao, are you looking for me?" Hearing this address, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao felt a surge of anger. In the past, he was always called Deputy County Magistrate Xiao. Why did it become like this now? Of course he should call him like this, but when he heard it, he didn't think it was appropriate. Not wanting to fuss over the address, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao asked the yamen runner, "Why do the people here do things differently from what they did in the yamen before?" That's right. In the past, they didn't get paid for their work. After 20 days of work every year, not only were they not exempted from rent and transfer, but they also didn't get paid. Now it's different. They get paid 30 coins a day. As long as they see someone not doing something seriously, they can go home immediately. In addition to us yamen runners, the county magistrate's servants also come here from time to time. If we see someone not doing something seriously in the same place twice in a row, not only will those two people be driven away, but we will also be considered as dereliction of duty. While the yamen runner was talking, he didn't forget to stare at the people doing the work over there. 30 coins. One day, haha, County Magistrate Zhang is really rich. So what if you are derelict of duty? Will he not give you anything? Now you know that it's not easy to get things, right? Registrar General Zhang didn't expect that Zhang Zhong would give such a high salary to the people who were hired to work here. He also guessed something from the yamen runner's words just now, so he gloated and said. The yamen runner shook his head and said, "Registrar General Zhang, you are wrong. His Excellency won't use this to blackmail us. If we don't keep watch, we will be arranged to go to the front and be replaced by other brothers. I don't want to be replaced. I can't afford to lose face. When the brothers in front ask me how I came back, how can I tell them? The county magistrate is good to us, so we have to be more careful. Otherwise, the next time he gives us something, we won't have the face to accept it. Erchangzi, you have been moving the plank for a while. Why are you dawdling? Do you think I can't see you?" While the yamen runner was talking, he suddenly pointed at the person moving the plank and questioned him. Others had moved 3 times, but he only moved 1 time. It was very slow for him to go back and forth. "Sir, please don't chase this lowly one away. This lowly one thought of something just now, that's why this lowly one was a little slower. This lowly one was thinking, should we get someone to draw some things on the houses after the construction is done? This lowly one has a cousin's family. He has been doing this for generations and his skills are not bad." Erchangzi was shocked. He was reluctant to give up the salary. The money he earned from a day's work was more than what he could earn in a few days. Besides, there was also food here. At noon and at night, there was at least 1 meat dish for every meal. It had been like this for 2 days. Today he was going to eat again. If he ate more here, his family would save money. If he was driven away, he would have nothing. He explained and moved faster. "Well, I heard that someone has a relative who can draw. Which one is it?" At this time, A servant of the Zhang family came in from another small door. He heard Changzi's words and asked him. The Yamen runner replied and pointed at Changzi. Changzi thought he was going to drive him away, but when he heard the question, he was relieved and said, "It's me. My cousin's family has been doing this for generations. His craftsmanship is good. He can draw and carve. In the whole Huayuan County, no one can compare with him. Oh, except for our top scorer, what can't he do?" The servant of the Zhang family heard Changzi's words. He thought for a while and said, "Well, is it far away? If it's not far away, you can go and find him now. Find all his family members who can do this. We can have lunch here at noon. If they do it well, I will give you an extra 200 coins. Really? It's not far at all. It's just 2 streets away. I'll go there right away. Well, can I ask if I can find such people and get more money?" Changzi didn't expect such a good thing. He was confident in his cousin's craftsmanship. When he was going to find him, he asked. "Yes, as long as they are useful and recommended, we will get some money at once," the servant of the Zhang family said with certainty. Changzi shouted happily and strode to the back door. They all came and went from the back door. The front door was the yamen, so they couldn't go back and forth. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao said at this time, "You are just a servant. How dare you make decisions? Are you lying to them?" The servant of the Zhang family couldn't not know Deputy County Magistrate Xiao. He said to him, "Deputy County Magistrate, you may not know the affairs of the Zhang family. The servants of the Zhang family are different from those of other places. Those who can be brought out to do things are naturally trusted by the master. As long as they think it's good for the master, they can make decisions." "Oh, what if they make a mistake?" Registrar Official Jean asked at the side. "If you make a mistake, you should think about what you did wrong. Next time, try to do the same thing. Don't give up eating for fear of choking," the servant of the Zhang family said with a trace of pride. He was qualified to be proud. Which family's Zhuangzi could be compared with the Zhang family's? Which family's servant could be treated like the Zhang family's servant? The master believed in any servant. As long as they worked hard for the master, it was okay even if they did something wrong. According to the little child, ability was not a problem. Attitude determined everything. As long as they were not fools, they could be cultivated slowly. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao and Registrar Official Zhan couldn't say anything after hearing the words of the servant of the Zhang family. They could only think that Zhang Zhong was crazy. How could he give this kind of power to his servant? The two of them didn't want to stay in the wooden yard anymore. They walked to the next yard. They even forgot to ask the servant of the Zhang family where Zhang Zhong was. The two of them continued to look and walk. The courtyards were totally different from the ones before. They couldn't guess what was going on in one of the courtyards. When the two of them turned to the 11th courtyard, they finally found Zhang Zhong. The 11th courtyard was also the biggest one. There was also a digging pit here. The pit was bigger and deeper than the second one. Zhang Zhong stood at the edge of the pit and looked at it. He roughly looked at the courtyard. There were about 300 people. A smaller courtyard couldn't fit them all. There were 2 yamen runners and a scribe beside Zhang Zhong. They talked with him from time to time. Registrar Official Zhan and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao looked at each other and walked to the side of Zhang Zhong. Registrar Official Zhan said, "County Magistrate Zhang, are you looking for us? You're here? That's great. Yes, I'm looking for you too. You came from the front, right? How is it? Do you have any ideas on your way here? What did you think of? Tell me." Chapter 324. Registrar Zhan and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao were shocked by Zhang Zhong's expression and tone. They didn't know what was wrong with Zhang Zhong. Could it be that his son was in a coma and his father's brain was also not working well? Tell me, what do you think? Zhang Zhong still had that smile on his face and asked again. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao didn't answer. He felt that Zhang Zhong was really crazy. Registrar Zhan couldn't figure out why Zhang Zhong asked this question. He hesitated and said, "There are quite a lot of courtyards and each of them is not small. It's just that I can't figure out what exactly they are going to do. I'm confused." "Confused, that's right. Do you have the idea of coming over to take a look when they are finished?" Zhang Zhong was more happy when he heard Registrar Zhan's words. He asked again. Registrar Zhan didn't say anything more, so he just nodded. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao looked at Zhang Zhong and felt that something was wrong. Zhang Zhong shouldn't treat them with such an attitude. Did he come here just to ask what they thought of his courtyards? That's right. It's better than nothing. Then tell me, do other people also have the same idea when they see it? Zhang Zhong patted Registrar Zhan's shoulder with satisfaction. Registrar Zhan was still in a daze and didn't avoid it. Well, County Magistrate Zhang, you better be straightforward. Why did you ask us to come here? Don't tell me you want us to see what your future home will be like? Deputy County Magistrate Xiao wasn't used to this kind of thing. Changed too fast. Yesterday, they were cheated of a few thousand strings of coins and forced to release the people in prison. Today it became like this. Zhang Zhong's smile became more sincere and said, actually, I asked you two to come here because I really want you two to see my future home and tell me your thoughts. Of course, you two are busy with official business and can't just talk about this kind of thing. The most important thing I asked you two to come here is to ask the question just now. Do you want to continue to wait for the completion of the courtyard? You have the idea, so do others. Yes, County Magistrate Zhang. We admit that we have that kind of idea. Then, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao had to follow the conversation. He really wanted to know what Zhang Zhong was up to. And then? Oh, then it's simple. There are a lot of mountains on the east side of our Huayuan County, and there are even more dangerous places. If the river is connected, there will be more people coming and going. It's also not far from the capital. As for me, I was thinking if I could pull some people over for sightseeing. As long as we build up the place, the scenery there will be beautiful. When more people come here, there will be more places to spend money. The two of you can also let your family members start a business. With a way to make money, you don't have to think of other ways. Whether it's greed or accepting other people's money, you have to be on tenterhooks. It's not worth it, Zhang Zhong said to the two with a sincere smile. However, the two of them had just been tricked once yesterday, so how could they believe Zhang Zhong's words? They thought that he might have found out about them going to the dock yesterday, so he found an excuse to scare the two of them. He was waiting for the two of them to retreat so that he could monopolize the other side. At the thought of this, the two of them became gloomy. Zhang Zhong also saw it. Wei Wei shook her head and continued saying, just now I only talked about making money and spending money. If we want to build up the place, we need a lot of people. We don't look for people from other places but only the people in our Huayuan County, especially the farmers. The spring plowing is over, and they don't have any other income at home. We find them to do the work first and then reduce the rent. When the people have more food in their hands, they will spend money to buy things. Although this year's rent has been collected in advance, there is still next year, or the yamen will give them some wages. Otherwise, they may not be able to survive until this year's harvest. County Magistrate Zhang, the yamen has no money now. How can we give them? What's more, even if we build the place according to what you said just now, when we build it, people will think about what this place looks like. But the mountain and the river are in the opposite direction. It's far away. Who will come here for no reason? When County Magistrate Xiao heard Zhang Zhong mention the rent, a trace of impatience appeared on his face. He added, collecting rent is the former county magistrate Wen's business. It has nothing to do with us or you. Naturally, someone will take care of County Magistrate Wen. Do you think we don't eat and give the food to the people? Only you, County Magistrate Zhang, have the ability to do that. We can't. Zhang Zhong stopped laughing. He felt that the two of them were really not presentable. Didn't they know that calculation was calculation and politics was politics? He frowned and continued, don't worry about the money. We will have it in 2 days. We don't need to worry about the lack of people coming. Of course, we can't wait for people to come, but we can ask them to come. My family has several small shops in the capital. There is a pear garden in the capital, and a similar place will be built next to the pier here. Many people come and go from the capital. No matter if they are from other countries or from other prefectures, they all want to come to the capital. They are not familiar with the capital. We can ask someone to show them around. They can go to my shop to eat, buy some trinkets and walk around the pear garden. They also made silent protests against Registrar Zhan and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao. Seeing that the two of them were a little isolated, Registrar Zhan and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao realized that this matter was not easy to handle. If they didn't agree, today's matter would be known by the whole county. Their reputation was not good to begin with. At that time there might be people besieging the yamen. If they agreed, today's matter would also be spread out. They would also lose their reputation just less. However, once there was a political achievement, it would all belong to Zhang Zhong. It was very likely that before the two of them could get rid of Zhang Zhong, his political achievement would come out. This was difficult. No matter whether they opposed or supported, there wouldn't be a good result. The two of them pondered there. Zhang Zhong was not in a hurry now. He said to the people who supported him, or to the people on this side, "In the future our county's life will be better. I plan to make Huayuan County a Shang County like what I did to Sanshui County. At that time there will be more people and it will be lively. The yamen will have money to do more things for the people." After Zhang Zhong said this, Registrar Zhan and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao finally couldn't keep silent. They knew that the people's hearts had been won over by Zhang Zhong. If they didn't say something, the two of them would be finished. Chapter 325. County Magistrate Xiao is right. County Magistrate Zhang, don't worry and just do it. Even if you do something wrong, we will take responsibility for you. Don't worry. Registrar Zhan understood what County Magistrate Xiao meant and echoed. Unfortunately, those people were not fools. How could they not understand why the two of them said this? Especially those who knew about Sanshui County. They did not believe that the county magistrate could not do a good job. After the two of them finished talking, they were ready to leave. They really did not want to endure those people's gazes. Some looked at them with disdain, some looked at them with disdain, and some looked at them with disdain. Anyway, none of them were good. Seeing that the two of them agreed, Zhang Zhong immediately struck while the iron was hot and said, "How about this? I will take out the money first. When the government office has money in the future, you can give it to me. I am an official and cannot use my own money to do things for the imperial court. I will be impeached. If the two of you agree, let's write a document." When Registrar Zhan and County Magistrate heard that Zhang Zhong wanted to take out the money first, they exchanged glances and nodded at the same time. County Magistrate Zhang is right. Then let's do it. I will write it right away. When I finish, you just need to stamp it. County Magistrate Xiao was happy. He felt that Zhang Zhong had finally become stupid at this time. When the government office has money in the future, then just wait. If they were to build on the mountain, the total cost would be at least a few thousand strings of coins. If they only relied on the government office's money, how long would they have to wait? Registrar Zhan was also happy. He thought about making money. There would be a sum of money in his hands soon. He would open a shop there and wait for Zhang Zhong to bring people over. Then, he would be able to benefit from it. When he thought of this, he also said, "Yes, County Magistrate Zhang can do this. The people of my county are really convinced. I can't help much here. Why don't we build a shop at the foot of the mountain and let County Magistrate Zhang do it more easily?" After the two of them finished talking, they hurried to the front to write the document. Zhang Zhong was finally relieved after he finished one thing. The Registrar Zhan beside him could not stand it and said to Zhang Zhong, "Sir, if you do this, what if the government office has no money? And that? About the shop opened by someone else, my lord, aren't you Sai? It doesn't matter. We'll have money in a few days. As for the shops, it's better to open more. It's not like people will go there just because we open more shops. When things are done, we can start doing other things. At that time, we'll need everyone to work together. Whether or not the people of Huayuan County can live a good life depends on everyone." Zhang Zhong wasn't worried about money, nor was he worried about others taking advantage of him. His precious son had already thought about these things, so he didn't need to worry too much. The people in the surrounding yamen had never heard such words before. They all excitedly promised. When the people who had stopped working started working again, they felt that they had more strength. Even if no one was watching, they would not slack off. After a while, the registrar and the county magistrate came back and asked Zhang Zhong to stamp the official seal. They happily said that they were going to take a look at the mountain, but they ran away again. In fact, they went home to sleep. Zhang Zhong didn't expect them to help him. He would be satisfied as long as they didn't make trouble to a certain extent. He found a servant and asked him to go back and transfer money to build the temple on the mountain. The mountain was actually quite famous. Sun Simiao lived there. Now that he was dead, many people would go there to build a temple. Originally, they were going to build a temple, but now that the Buddha was destroyed, they had to change it. When the time came, many people would go there to burn incense and pray that there would be no illness or disaster. At dusk that day, the yamen posted a notice again. One was to recruit yamen laborers and the other was to recruit laborers. The laborers would come to work. The first 20 days would be counted as normal, and the rest would be paid. As for the reduction of rent and transfer, it could only be discussed next year. The people in the county had paid double last year. After the spring plowing, there was no food to eat. Rent and transfer were not important. What the people needed most was money. Another advantage was that when they worked, the yamen would take care of their meals. In the past, they had to bring their own meals from home. The yamen laborers were naturally recruited from gangsters. The treatment was good, but at the same time there were many restrictions. If anyone dared to do anything against the rules, they would be beaten dozens of times. If the gangsters didn't want to be yamen laborers, they could find their own jobs. The work of yamen laborers was most suitable for gangsters. They had enough brains and were familiar with some of the things in their industry. Now that Huayuan County was as chaotic as Sanshui County, they could only use this method. As for whether the gangsters were obedient or not, it was too simple. First they would give them something, then beat them and use the carrot and the stick. If the people didn't fight with the officials, no matter how powerful the gangsters were, it was useless. Moreover, the people now knew that the new county magistrate, Lord Zhang, came from Sanshui County and was followed by 20 guards from the prince's mansion. Who would dare to be disobedient? In the beginning, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao and Registrar Zhan had the idea of using these guards. Uncle Jiang, please take the money first. Seeing that the shopkeeper didn't believe him, Fong Si picked up the money on the table and threw it over. The shopkeeper hurriedly caught it. It was really heavy. Since the money was in his hands, he naturally didn't doubt it. The shopkeeper couldn't help but ask Fong Si, Fong Wu, this is not like you. Uncle Jiang, in the county it used to be County Magistrate 1. Now it's County Magistrate Zhang. My brother and I want to be government officers. The notice said that if we did something in the past and didn't make people forgive us, we can't be government officers. Uncle Jiang, my brother and I want to change. Can you forgive us? Fong Si begged. His brother Fong Wu also seemed to look at him eagerly. The shopkeeper looked at the two ruffians and sighed. Fong Si Wu, your father died early. Only your mother raised you. You know how to be a good person. Don't do stupid things in the future. Lord Zhang is the master of Zhangjie Zhuangzi in Sanshui County. He is very capable and can't tolerate sand in his eyes. It's good to be government officers. Your mother won't have to worry about money in the future. The shopkeeper didn't say anything about forgiveness, but everyone who heard him understood what he meant. The two ruffians also shouted happily. The shopkeeper took the money and went in. After a while, he came out with 2 bowls of noodles, a plate of lamb's face, and 2 pots of warm wine. He sent them to the 2 ruffians' table. I know you can drink, but I can't let you drink too much. If you say something wrong when you go to the government office, you can't be government officers. Eat well. Uncle Jiang, 7 copper coins can't buy lamb's face. You can't buy wine either. What are you doing? Fong Si was stunned when he saw the food and asked. Nothing. I'm just giving you 2 food. In the future, I'm counting on you to protect the safety of the county. Eat. After you're full, go to the government office and talk. When the people from the government office come, I'll ask them and I'll help you. Eat quickly. This money is nothing. You're a prodigal son who has turned over a new leaf. The shopkeeper said happily. He knew all the people around him. As long as the 2 ruffians could work hard in the future, giving some food was nothing. Chapter 326. Registrar Zhan was furious. When he asked just now, he said that he didn't have it. Now he actually gave it away. Did he think that he and the deputy magistrate were not here? Deputy Magistrate Xiao pointed at the tofu mixed with shallots on the table and said, "Why is this tofu a little sour? There are also bamboo shoots. It's hard to bite them." Registrar Jean, you are talking about the lamb's face. You really didn't have it just now. Later on, someone sent it over. If you want to eat it, I'll get it for you. Deputy Magistrate Xiao, it's not the tofu, it's the soy sauce. You will get used to it after eating it. The bamboo shoots are grown old, not me. The shopkeeper said calmly. In fact, he did it on purpose. His family had only paid taxes for 2 years. For example, the tax for setting up a stall was collected daily. For a small shop like this, it was collected monthly. He was afraid that he would not be able to pay the taxes. Last year, the Yamen collected 2 years' worth of taxes in one go. He even had to borrow money to pay the taxes. In the past, he didn't dare to treat the registrar and deputy magistrate like this. But now he dared. There was a new county magistrate. Everything was different. Deputy Magistrate Xiao and Registrar Jean also knew what the shopkeeper was thinking. The news was spread this morning. If it was a new county magistrate, the people might not dare to treat them like this. But Zhang Zhong was different. Needless to say, he was the top scorer. He was also the head of Zhangzhe Zhuangzi in Sanshui County, and had 20 imperial guards following him. Comparing the two of them, they were naturally much worse. Of course, the people were not afraid. How could the registrar and deputy magistrate, who had no foundation, want to fight with the master of Zhangzhe Zhuangzi? The two of them also couldn't explain this to the people. It didn't mean that you were powerful just because you had a foundation. Sometimes even a small official could pull down a big official. The people didn't understand this. They only looked at their power and status. Forget it. Let's change to another restaurant. Registrar Jean stood up gloomily. He threw down his chopsticks and wanted to leave. Registrar Jean, you haven't paid for the meal. The shopkeeper couldn't stand it anymore and shouted at the other side. Everyone who wanted to eat all thought of these two officials. Deputy Magistrate Xiao was more stable. He took out his money and counted 15 copper coins according to the price of the dishes. He put it on the table and didn't say anything. When he passed by Registrar Jean, he pulled Registrar Jean. Seeing the two of them leave, the shopkeeper cleaned up the table with a smile and muttered, "You collected my taxes for 2 years, and now the weather has changed. Brother Byong, are we going to let that shopkeeper go just like that? He's clearly doing this on purpose. Is he bullying the two of us?" Registrar Jean complained as he sat in the car. "What else do you want? Bring the lawsuit to Zhang Zhong? Or should the bailiffs come and arrest him?" The first one was a self-inflicted humiliation. But do you think any bailiffs will listen to us for the second one? If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have treated them so well back then. Now all of them are like humans. They have done a lot of bad things in the past. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao also felt aggrieved. If Zhang Zhong did not rely on his reputation in Sanshui County, how could he make the people in Huayuan County become like this in just a few days? As for those bailiffs, they were all shameless. All he did was give some things and take care of a meal. How could they be bought over? If he had known earlier, he would not have kept those bailiffs. He would have kept those bailiffs who were capable and honest. He did not believe that Zhang Zhong could buy them over with those things. Registrar Jean also thought so. He took a few deep breaths and then felt better. He said, "Just bear with it for a while. It will be easy when we get the money. Haven't you sent the ginseng to those people yet? It's not that easy to find. Do you think you can get 100-year-old ginseng just because you want to? You may not be able to get it from the palace. Let's go home and eat. It seems that we can't eat good food outside. We collected too little tax in the past. They still don't know how to be afraid." Deputy County Magistrate Xiao was still hungry. He only ate 2 mouthfuls just now and still felt uncomfortable. He decided to go home and eat. The two people's cars turned towards their own homes. All the people who saw their cars would mutter and spit at them. Who asked them to not be the county magistrate? With the support of the new county magistrate, the people also became bolder. The bailiffs in the Yamen naturally did not have to go home to eat. They did not have money in their accounts, but Zhang Zhong had money. At noon, he did not take them to Jinlai restaurant for lunch. There were too many people there and they could not squeeze in. The rooms that were left were not suitable for the bailiffs to eat together. Among the servants who followed them, there was also a cook. Lunch was prepared by the cook with a few assistants. The cook used a big pot to cook 9 dishes. There were 3 meat dishes and 6 vegetable dishes. There was also a bowl of egg drop soup. The staple food was steamed buns and rice. Every person in the yamen could choose 1 meat dish and 2 vegetable dishes. There was no limit to the amount of rice. These were the lunchboxes that Zhang Xiaobao sold. The only difference was that there were more types of lunchboxes and fewer types here. Even so, no one in the yamen said that they were not willing to eat. If they did not eat in the yamen, what could they eat at home? After the people in the yamen finished choosing, the rest were sent to the people who were working. If it was not enough, they would cook some more. Zhang Zhuangzi now had a lot of pork in storage. They had frozen it and asked someone to send a cart of it. Could last for a few days. Zhang Zhong also ate with the people in the yamen. As long as he was not working, he looked kind. When he was working, he would do what he should do. The only difference was that the dishes he ate were better than others. There were 2 meat dishes and 2 vegetable dishes. There would also be some mushrooms or wood ears in a bowl of soup. The menu was not set by him. He had no choice. His son and daughter-in-law specially set the menu according to the season. They said that it was something about nutrition. He did not understand what it meant. Anyway, he could not refuse the dishes that his son and daughter-in-law asked to eat. Moreover, they had to eat the same dish for 10 days. After the meal, they had to eat a specially prepared fruit plate. Everyone, come and try this. The food is sent here from Jinlai restaurant. I have no choice. I am not allowed to eat other people's food. The food I eat every day was set on the first day. Zhang Zhong said to the people in the yamen. There were not only some officials, but also yamen runners and handymen. Everyone was either squatting or sitting in the yard to eat. Zhang Zhong looked at the food that others were eating and then looked at his own. He felt a little embarrassed to eat. It was okay to eat alone. If they ate together, others would be watching. The people in the yamen did not have the same thoughts as Zhang Zhong. Since when could the county magistrate eat with them? They could eat together and eat other people's food. No matter what, they could not be picky. Ikenji was also here. The meat dish he ordered was chicken stir-fried with bamboo shoots. The 2 vegetarian dishes were roasted radish strips and stir-fried dried vegetables. At this time there were no fresh vegetables. There were leeks, but he did not order them today. It was his first time eating like this, so he was a little confused. When he heard the county magistrate's explanation, he said, "Sir, you can't eat like us. What does your family do? There are restaurants one after another. If you eat like us, won't it weaken your family's reputation? What's more, sir, there are not many dishes. There are only 4 dishes. They are also rice, although the rice is a little different. Sir, you can eat at ease. Don't worry about us. 1 meat dish and 2 vegetarian dishes. Look, there is also a shrimp and cucumber slices over there. Can cucumber be considered a vegetarian dish now? That shrimp is also meat. Sir, you don't have to give us face. We are satisfied." While speaking, Kenji pointed at a person who was in charge of cleaning. That person's vegetarian dish was shrimp and cucumber slices. At this time, that person also raised his head and said, "Sir, if you let me eat with you, I will feel good even if I eat chaff, let alone such good food. I will remember this meal for a lifetime. When I go back, I will tell the child that the county magistrate treated me to a meal today." Zhang Zhong felt that this person was already taking care of him by cleaning in the yamen. He did not know how to speak at all. If other county magistrates heard this, they would immediately fire him. However, he felt comfortable when he heard this. A person who did not know how to speak was telling the truth. Some villagers in Zhuangzi were like this. Seeing that everyone was eating happily, Zhang Zhong also ate 2 mouthfuls of rice. In the future, this rule will be set. Not only lunch but also dinner. If you want to stay for dinner, you can tell in advance. The cook will prepare it. In the morning, you can eat at Jinlai restaurant. Those who are still waiting at midnight will also have a simple meal. It can be fried rice or wonton. You can choose whatever you want. Sir, there is still dinner at midnight? That's too troublesome. Chow Daobi said in surprise, "It's not troublesome. In the future, there will be people who will be on night duty. You can eat like this, but it will be more troublesome for my 2 children. It has always been like this in Sanshui County. There are snacks in the inner courtyard of Zhuangzi. You can forget about eating them. Zhang Zhong now treated the people in the yamen as people in Zhuangzi. When everyone heard about snacks, they laughed. He was already an adult. Why would he eat snacks? Zhang Zhong said a few words and did not say anything else. He lowered his head and ate. The fragrance of the food floated in the courtyard. When everyone was eating, they felt that this was the best meal they had eaten in their lives. I have a question. Who is in charge of the recruitment of yamen runners? Everyone was eating and there was no one guarding outside. In the end, a 17 or 18-year-old man came in. He stood there for a while and waited. Finally, he could not help but ask. The people in the yamen turned their heads to look. Zhang Zhong put down his chopsticks and asked, "You are from Huayuan County? What did you do before?" That person was obviously a little afraid. After entering the yamen, he looked around and finally stopped his gaze on Zhang Zhong. The look in his eyes immediately changed. He said, "Sir, I am here to be a yamen runner. I am from Huayuan County. I used to do this." As he spoke, his hand moved. No one knew how he did it, but there was a thin small blade in his hand. Everyone understood. He was a thief. Judging from his hand movements, he was quite skilled. The yamen runners did not recognize him, which meant that he had never been caught before. Chapter 327. Zhang Zhong looked at the person in front of him who was at a loss. He thought for a while and said, "Show us what you've got." "Here." That person was a little uneasy and asked back, "Right here." Everyone stand up and stand close to each other. Let him come over and see whose things he can steal. Zhang Zhong felt that it was very good to have a thief as a bailiff. In the future, when he patrolled the streets, as long as he saw someone stealing, he would be able to find out. Now, what he needed to see was how this person was able to do it. The people who were eating all stood up and gathered together to see how this thief would steal. The person smiled embarrassedly and said, "Everyone is looking at me. How can I steal? When I came here just now, I stole from 2 people. I've decided not to steal anymore in the future. Sir, look, these are also the things of the people in the yamen." As the person spoke, he took out 2 seals from his arms and waved them in front of the crowd. He said, "One is from Deputy Xiao, and the other is from Registrar Zhan." A bailiff immediately ran in front of the person and took the 2 seals. He breathed out and pressed them on his hand. He said, "They are indeed from Registrar Zhan and Deputy Xiao." Ha ha. No one knew who was the first to laugh, but everyone started to laugh as well. Even Zhang Zhong's mouth moved. That was to say, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao and Registrar Zhan had already lost their seals. Put the 2 seals in the signing room first. When Deputy Xiao and Registrar Zhan come over in the afternoon, hand them over to them. Well, from now on, you are a bailiff in Huayuan County. Tell us about your family. After 3 days, someone will go over and verify it. Then you can do your job. Zhang Zhong knew that there were many people following Registrar Zhan and Deputy Xiao, but they lost the seals. It was not because they were careless. It could only be said that this thief was too good. Ah, can I really be a bailiff? I don't need to take the exam anymore? My name is Louis. I have grandparents, father and mother at home. The man started to talk, and everyone started to sigh. No wonder he wanted to steal. One person couldn't feed 7 people. Apart from him, the elders and younger siblings in the family all had white spots on their bodies. He didn't dare to meet people outside, so he could only hide in the mountains and open up some land. He would depend on the weather to eat. Sometimes he could eat for a few days when the weather was good. Normally, he would dig up some grass roots. When he came out to steal things, he would sell them. The money he stole would directly buy things. He lied to his family that he had found a good job and could earn money. His family didn't know. He was afraid that people would see him when they went down the mountain, so they didn't know what he was doing. Zhang Zhong couldn't help but sigh. In this world, there are always some things that can't be done by manpower. Well, you are now a bailiff, but you can only do things after 3 days. We have to send someone to your house to check. Ah, really? That's great. Big brother, I'll return your money pouch to you. Louis said as he took out a money pouch from his sleeve and handed it over to the bailiff who came to take the seal. The bailiff took the money pouch and looked at the county magistrate. Your Excellency, from now on, as long as Brother Lou is on patrol, there will be no thieves. The others, including Zhang Zhong, didn't expect that the bailiff's money pouch could be stolen. This skill was amazing. Louis's skill was immediately recognized and everyone welcomed him. That, since I'm a bailiff, can I eat something? Louis suddenly said. Seeing that everyone didn't understand, he said, I came out this morning and saw the notice. Someone read it to me. I knew that the government office was recruiting bailiffs, so I wanted to come. But I was a little scared. Until now I haven't eaten anything. Other than stealing the seal of the deputy county magistrate and the registrar, I haven't stolen a single coin. Then why? A bailiff asked. I will be a bailiff in the future. I feel that with my skills I can be a bailiff. How can a bailiff steal things? Louis explained. Then why did you steal from the deputy county magistrate and the registrar? The bailiff asked again. I heard from others that they don't listen to the county magistrate's orders. Even if it's a good thing, they still oppose it. That's why I stole it. Louis explained again. Everyone understood that the deputy county magistrate and the registrar had angered the people. Zhang Zhong naturally wouldn't blame Louis. He only needed to send people to the mountain to see if there was that family and if that family knew Louis. He said, What do you want to eat? I'll get someone to prepare it for you immediately. Louis rubbed his stomach and looked at the food boxes in front of everyone. He pointed at one of the food boxes and said, I can eat this. I can eat even if others eat it. I'm too hungry. Okay, you eat this. Zhang Zhong didn't say anything and took his food box in front of Louis. Those people in the yamen didn't know what to say. They wanted to reprimand him, but they didn't know what was going on. Louis took the food and ate it. After eating for a while, he saw that everyone was looking at him. He felt a little embarrassed and said, I'm too hungry. It was difficult to steal things last night. Those thieves seemed to be staring at others. If someone didn't understand, they would grab them and beat them. Later I found out that it was because of the notice. Everyone wants to be a bailiff. Yesterday I was stared at by 4 people. It wasn't easy for me to steal, so I stole some steamed buns and ran back home to give them to my family. I didn't eat at all. Why is there fungus in the soup? When everyone heard his words, their first thought was that he was an expert. He was definitely an expert. He could steal steamed buns while being stared at by 4 people. What level did he have to reach? What you ate was the county magistrate's food. His Excellency hasn't finished eating yet. A handyman said. It's fine, it's fine. In a moment I'll have someone send some snacks over. If you feel that the food doesn't taste good, tell me and I'll have them change it. Zhang Zhong didn't care about the food. If he wanted to eat, he could eat it any time. Talents were hard to come by. He didn't think like this before, but later on, he gradually found out that people with skills, even if it was stealing, were also talents. This was called a sword with 2 edges. Sir. Louis didn't know what Zhang Zhong was thinking. When he heard others say that he ate the county magistrate's food, he didn't know how to express his thoughts. Eat. In the future, do your job properly. Especially if you see someone stealing on the street, you must catch them. Zhang Zhong waved his hand and said. He could think like this, but Louis couldn't think like him. His nose turned sour and he nodded. Sir, you can rest assured. In the future, as long as I pass by a place, no one will dare to make a move. Zhang Zhong chuckled and approved of him. But in his heart he was thinking, if my son makes a move, what can you do? If not for the fact that Xiao Bao was still young, who in this world would dare to make a move? Thinking of the scene where his son made a pair of chopsticks disappear in front of the 2 families, Zhang Zhong gently shook his head. Of course he didn't know that his son Zhang Xiaobao had to pay such a high price when he was learning how to steal. He had to get soap with boiling water and narrow holes to catch oil droplets between his fingers. At this time Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were also eating lunch. The 2 people ate a lot of dishes, but the amount of each dish was very small. Zhang Xiaobao had a kind of strict devotion to food. He could eat expensive food, but he absolutely couldn't waste it. Xiaobao, the construction on the mountain over there started today. You haven't told me what attractive place there is. What if no one comes? Wang Wan only knew that the construction on the mountain in the east was starting. She was worried that the traffic was too small and they would lose money. If they lost money, it would be better to directly change the money into things for the people. Zhang Xiaobao picked up the last piece of chicken on the second plate in front of him. When he put it to his mouth, he said to Wang Wan, "Do you know what this place was called at that time? Yawang Mountain Sun Simiao was here. Now he is dead. In the past he lived a good life. What kind of rich person was he? He wrote when he had nothing to do. How can no one come to such a good place? We have to help advertise and let the world know who lived here. Then we can find a few people who really study medicine. Then we can let them help treat the people who come here. As for us, we can open a candlelight shop at the foot of the mountain. Most people wouldn't think of it, right? When we make money, we can take out a part of it to give free medicine to those who don't have money to buy medicine. We have to promote this place. Then we can get a few scholars to write poems. We can also help advertise." "Ah, this is Yawang Mountain? That's not right. I have been here before. There was such a big lake here. Why is it gone now?" Wang Wan didn't expect that this was the place where Sun Simiao had stayed. At the same time, she was a little confused. Zhang Xiaobao put the chicken in his mouth. At that time, there was no water in the Dead Sea. We had to rely on manpower to pump water to replenish it. At that time, the Yellow River was cut off. You can go and take a look now. How can it be the same? Do you still remember what that lake looked like? We can make a lake. Su Sure can build a Su Causeway. We can make a Zhangwang Lake. That's fine too. If we make a lake, the scenery will be better. We can also raise things in the lake and collect more boat fares. Wang Wan understood after Zhang Xiaobao's explanation. Geography would change. For example, some rivers might not be there now. The one that changed the fastest was the desert. At night, one would sleep by the river. In the morning, the river was gone. That was how magical it was. Zhang Xiaobao didn't agree with Wang Wan's way of thinking. Who said that we should collect boat fares? As long as we do all the work, the money will be very cheap. We don't expect to make a lot of money here. What we earn is the joining fee. If we don't pay, our tour guides will ignore those places. For example, during the free activities, if Jinlai Restaurant doesn't pay the joining fee, our tour guides can say a few words. If they eat and drink in places that don't have a unified signboard, they won't care if they eat and drink and get sick. What is the first impression of others? It's those places where it's easy to eat and get sick. In fact, people have eaten and gotten sick in the past. Xiaobao, you are too bad. Wang Wan replied. Chapter 328. Zhang Xiaobao peeled another prawn and placed it on Wang Wan's plate. He continued, "You don't have to force me. I'll say it myself. Yes, it's not that simple of an arrangement. I still have a backup plan. Any industry has its own rules, and the tourism industry is the same. What makes the most money? The right to set the price when doing business, what can still make money, and the right to set the standards when the rules appear. We first proposed the concept of tourism and formed a series of tour guides. Then we are the standard setters of the tourism industry. If we say that a certain place is good, it will be good. Then how can we say that it's good? I know. If it's good for us, it's good. If it's not good, it's not good. Is that what you mean? Xiaobao, I just realized that you have a gentlemanly demeanor. Oh, it should be called the demeanor of a gentleman. Then tell me, what's the next step after that? Don't look at me like that. I know you. If you take the initiative to say it, there must be something you're hiding. This is called avoiding the main points and attacking the weak points. Don't you know what the special second department does? Do you know our purpose? Wang Wan was not blinded by Zhang Xiaobao's initiative. Even if the right to set the standards was indeed shocking to many people, and they were shocked by Zhang Xiaobao's calculations, she was an exception. To her, if Zhang Xiaobao said that he would pull down the moon tomorrow to take a look, she would also think that there must be Saturn or Mars hidden somewhere. She realized that during this period of contact, she had thoroughly understood the nature of an international swindler. That was, the bottom line of people like them was not something they said but something they did in the end. Until the last critical moment, no one could figure out what was in their heads. Even if Zhang Xiaobao had already explained a lot in the past, And it seemed that he had really exhausted all his ideas and was at his wit's end. She still could not be sure that this would really be the case. Comrade Wang Wan, let me solemnly tell you something now. When the last trump card is revealed, when the story ends, only regret is left. Is your purpose a policy? I understand that. Isn't it to punish the past to avoid the future and treat the sick to save people? I've already thought of this. Alright, let me tell you. In the future, our tour guides have to prevent certain things such as cheating customers, seducing customers, etc. We also have to have a team doctor who follows the tour guides. We can't let anyone fall ill because of illness, especially not in Sun Simiao's house. Originally, I wanted to keep some secrets, but now that you've asked, I don't have any. I feel that there are actually two sides to this matter. To be specific, it's, Comrade Zhang Xiaobao, tell us the truth. It's not a team doctor or a scammer. That's just an assistant, okay? It's about the details. As for your ability in this area, there's no need to think about it. It's just a matter of tactics. I'm asking about the strategy now. After Zhang Xiaobao had explained some things, Wang Wan still did not believe him. If others knew about this when she was older, they would definitely criticize her, but she still insisted on asking. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the prawns that he had just peeled for Wang Wan and muttered, I've peeled the prawns for you for nothing. I don't have a strategy. I'm just thinking that in the future, the tourism industry needs to understand the culture, geography, environment, special products, mineral resources, and so on. We can use the coal and elm village. Don't other places have it? Wouldn't it have been better if you said so earlier? Let the tour group get you some information about various places when they're earning money, just like the messenger. But that's social information, and this is resource information. You clearly had this plan, but you didn't say it out loud. You had to wait for me to ask personally. Is there a follow-up? I always feel that it's not that simple. Just like how you push Sanshui County to Shan County step by step, giving your father a kind of credit and a kind of competitive incentive during the speech. Who would have thought that the auspicious signs you made back then would be like this? I don't really believe what you said about chance encounters. I feel that even if you didn't encounter them, you could still do it. So now I want to ask you, Sanshui County's layout, is it really just to win the hearts of the people this time? As long as you're willing to spend money, won't you get the hearts of the people if you want to? Wang Wan looked at the real Zhang Xiaobao in front of her, and recalled all the information about him. Suddenly, she felt that she didn't seem to know him well enough. Or rather, she couldn't keep up with his thinking. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while and said, in fact, I don't have any ideas. The main thing is whether Huayuan can become Shan County. If Huayuan can also become Shan County, then I can continue to push for the next step. It's too early to talk about it now. Cuckoo, when Huayuan also becomes Shan County, you can realize your dream. I know that you've always wanted to personally command an army and fight against the enemy. I will find a way to find such an opportunity for you, but you have to train the army in advance. Really? How can you do that? Wang Wan had always wanted to personally command an army. She felt that she was the best. She had learned this at the beginning. She didn't expect that Zhang Xiaobao's plan was to make her wish come true. She had learned it and won the championship in some exercises. However, no matter how realistic those exercises were, they couldn't be compared to a real battlefield. She had always wanted to play her role and be a female general, the kind who strategized. But now, she only saw Zhang Xiaobao strategizing. She really admired Zhang Xiaobao. He was indeed talented in this area and was willing to work hard. His ability to analyze information and figure out human nature could be said to have reached a superb level. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to deceive so many people. Now that she heard Zhang Xiaobao's plan for her, Wang Wan realized for the first time that sometimes, some people's feelings for some people couldn't be expressed with words. If she didn't force him today, Zhang Xiaobao would never say. He couldn't possibly lie to her about this kind of thing. His deception was nothing more than hiding some things. Wang Wan admitted that lying had already reached the level of art for Zhang Xiaobao. The situation he was facing now made him feel disdain. He only needed to use normal methods to earn money. Looking at Zhang Xiaobao, who was eating like a child, Wang Wan suddenly understood that Zhang Xiaobao was actually very lonely. He was constantly searching for that trace of warmth and family, just so that he could live like a real person and not laugh at the wind and clouds. Xiaobao, do you feel lonely at the top? Wang Wan thought of this and suddenly asked. Just so. I still have my family, the village, and you. I want to see the day when you can also feel this way when you command the army. The world is so big, who else can do it but me? I'm looking forward to being a talented military commander. Seeing that Wang Wan did not continue to ask about the plan, Zhang Xiaobao finally breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, he also admired Wang Wan, this strong woman, for being able to give up her own ideas and endure it. I feel that there is a problem with the era we appeared in. If it was the Southern Song dynasty, I would definitely let those people around the country know how powerful they are. The true embodiment of military command is actually very simple. It is to make others unable to hit you so you can hit others, and form a large number of troops in every place. Wang Wan was happy in her heart and told Zhang Xiaobao the ultimate goal of military command. Zhang Xiaobao nodded after listening. Brilliant. In fact, deception is the same. Don't let others deceive you, and don't let others deceive you. Let's eat. It seems that all things in the world that are targeted are like this. For example, football. You can kick into other people's goal, but you can't let others kick into your goal. What's the difference between saying it and not saying it? Oh, then let's continue to eat. In fact, there is really a difference. Take the current polo for example. I always feel that it is not played well. Everyone is gathered together to grab the ball. Do you remember what the formation was at the beginning of football? Wang Wan ate a mouthful of water and said. She loved to eat this kind of food, no matter what season it was. What formation? Zhang Xiaobao really did not understand this aspect. The 1010 formation. There were various evolutions later, such as 442, 352, 541, and so on. There was even a scary formation which was the 1353 formation. Wang Wan said next to him, Are you lying to a fool? Can there be 12 people in a team? Even if Zhang Xiaobao did not understand the rules of football, he knew that a team had 11 people on the field. The goalkeeper came out. Don't think that the goalkeeper can't play football. Their ball control skills are even better than some midfielders. Do you understand what I mean? The tactical evolution of football took a long time to complete. At that time, no one dared to say that they could fully understand the changes of this formation. Then what about polo? Who is Li Longji? Literature, music, politics, sports, as long as it is something that people can be involved in, he is basically not ordinary. Polo is one of them. If you make a better polo field and give more rewards, then there will be fewer people who come to play polo. Wang Wan's thoughts were very active at this time. She was there giving Zhang Xiaobao ideas. Chapter 329. When Zhang Zhong arrived at the foot of the mountain on the east side, there were already many people gathered there. Not only were there people from Huayuan County, but there were also people from other places who came to visit their relatives or look for work. Some were holding shovels, some were carrying pickaxes, and some were carrying baskets. They all knew that they were going to build a better path up the mountain to prevent people from being squeezed down when there were too many people. Zhang Zhong had already sent people back to Zhuangzi last night to deliver things here, including all kinds of tools, ropes, and so on. He paid for it first. When the time came, he would take the money from the yamen and naturally sell the things at home. The grocery store couldn't always keep the goods in stock. When he arrived, it was already 3 p.m. Fortunately, he was riding a horse. Otherwise, he would have to wait for a while. The people who delivered the goods here would probably have to wait for an hour or two. In order to wait for them, Zhang Zhong asked the yamen runners to be in charge of choosing people. First, they could use people from the county. If there weren't enough people, they could use people from outside. The young and strong people were in charge of building the road, and the slightly weaker people were to assist at the side. If there were women, they would be in charge of cooking and boiling water when the weather was hot. The yamen runners walked to the front of the crowd. They didn't bring a register, so they couldn't recognize everyone. They could only let the people look at each other. After all, this project was for the welfare of the people of Huayuan County. Sir, if you do this, won't it be a waste of money and manpower? Ikenji also followed over. He also rode a horse. He felt that the other side hadn't prepared for the matter mentioned in the morning, and it would be a waste of energy to do it here first. Zhang Zhong knew what he was thinking. He had already arranged for someone to go over and give instructions. The rest of the matter was to find some elderly people here and ask them about their legends, stories, and so on. When the time came, the tour guide would recite them for others to hear. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to clean up his grocery store, he wouldn't have prepared to take things out from home. When he heard He Kangji's question, he said, "He Kangji, I don't want to work so early. The dew in the morning and evening is still a little cold." "Then why does Sir still want to do this?" He Kangji naturally couldn't think of what it meant to stimulate domestic demand. Many of the commoners have already run out of food. If it weren't for the wild vegetables, they wouldn't have any food to eat. Let me do the math for you. I'm planning to hire 2,000 people to work on the mountain. The yamen is building my house 24 hours a day without rest. At night, they will carry lanterns and work. Rotating back and forth, I need 800 to 900 people. These people were paid. The candles for lanterns and other things had to be bought in the county. Food had to be bought in the county as well. If there wasn't enough in the county, they could get some from elsewhere. My family could get some, and some merchants would also come over to sell. Merchants had to pay taxes when they sold things, and they also needed people to help transport their goods. The tax money was collected by the yamen, and the people who transported the goods also received their wages. The people in the county raised some chickens, ducks, and pigs, and usually kept them for themselves. I have already asked Zhuangzi to send some chickens and piglets over to let the commoners raise more of them. The commoners were afraid that they wouldn't be able to sell them, so they were waiting for the people here to start working. At least they would have meat every day. When the commoners see this situation, they would realize that the people working in the county didn't eat enough. When the people outside come over to sell, they would also send some of their poultry and livestock to sell for money. After selling all of them, I will send out another notice. 1 month later, the roads in the county will be built. This road can't be finished in a short period of time. In the entire county, as long as there are people, the roads will be built there. Zhang Zhong stopped talking and looked at He Kangji. He waited for He Kangji to speak. If He Kangji could follow this train of thought, he was prepared to put him in an important position in the future. He Kangji didn't know that the county magistrate beside him had the idea of putting him in an important position. He wouldn't specifically think about this, but he did try hard to think about it. In the past, he really didn't think about this kind of thing. At this time, after Zhang Zhong mentioned it, he felt as if he had seen something new, something very magical. After a quarter of an hour, He Kangji woke up from his various thoughts. He looked at Zhang Zhong with admiration and said, "Sir, I understand. As long as the notice says that when the roads are being built, more poultry or livestock will be used to let the commoners raise them, the commoners will believe it. After all, there is an example here in the mountains. There will be more people raising them, and they won't only keep them for their own families to eat. The chicks you catch will only take a few months to grow up. If they don't wait to lay eggs, they can be killed and eaten in more than 4 months. As for the pigs, we directly catch half of them and raise them. In less than 10 months, they will grow up in 6 or 7 months. When they are sold, the commoners will have spare money in their hands. They will want to buy things. This year's rent has been collected in advance. When the time comes, there will be more food and they won't have to worry about food. They had to buy other things or save up for their children to choose a wife or build a house. As long as a portion of people were willing to spend money, there wouldn't be enough things here. Merchants would ship things here, and the docks would be more prosperous, and the taxes would be higher. I just thought about it. As long as we do this for 2 years, the yamen won't be short of money and the commoners' lives will be better. Sir, you are the real parent official. For the sake of the commoners, you actually took out money first. I don't know when you will be able to make up for it. Sir, if you are promoted in the future, let me, He Lingwan, follow you. I don't want to be a small official anymore. I will just follow you and help you copy documents. As He Kangji spoke, he made up his mind. In the future, he would follow Rinpochian and see what else Rinpochian could do. It was really amazing. In such a difficult time, as long as he took out the first sum of money and invested it, he could move the whole county. If every county magistrate of Huayuan County was not greedy and followed Lord Zhang's path, what would become of Huayuan County after 10 years? Zhang Zhong did not expect He Kangji to think so much. Although he was not completely right, it was not bad. Especially when he Kangji surrendered before Zhang Zhong asked him to put him in an important position. This saved him a lot of trouble. In the future, he would need someone to help him do things, so he Kangji was useful. Sir, do you think I am still lacking? Can't I follow you? He Kangji was full of hope. When he saw that the county magistrate did not speak, he asked anxiously. Zhang Zhong smiled at him and said, just follow me. Let's settle this Huayuan County first. In the future, you can follow me to other places. You will still be an official. If I am promoted, you will also be promoted. If I change departments, you will also be with me. He Kangji was happy at first, but later he was confused. Whether he could be promoted or which department he would be in did not seem to be decided by the county magistrate. Now, the county magistrate could change his position. Could it be that he could go to the capital in the future? Zhang Zhong also knew this, but he was not afraid. He had a good son. If he said that he was the best in the state, then he was the best. If he said that he was the top scorer, then he was the top scorer. If he said that he was the county magistrate, then he was the county magistrate. The most surprising thing was that he could decide where he was going to be. It was as if the imperial court was his son's restaurant. Looking at He Kangji's puzzled eyes, Zhang Zhong laughed heartily. Ha ha. He Kangji, you don't have to worry about this kind of thing. You will know in the future. As you said just now, you are still lacking. You need to learn more. If you don't understand, you can ask. The people's livelihood is a college examination. It is much more difficult than being the top scorer. Sir, you are right. It is difficult. But I feel that the top scorer is not easy. There is only one person in each field. Sir, you are still young, but you have already passed the examination. Sir, what should we do next? When He Kangji heard the county magistrate say that he was lacking, he was not angry at all. Zhang Zhong used his hand to point at the road they had come from. The next step is to distribute the goods. The commoners can't work without good tools. I transferred some from the farmstead and earned some money while I was at it. He Kangji looked back. Sure enough, there was a fleet of carriages there. They must be carrying tools. He did not care where they were from or who made the money. He just wanted to see what this place would become in the future. It was fine as long as it could catch up with Sanshui County. There were many rich people who wanted to build houses there. Living there was comfortable. Master, last night, you sent someone back to the manor to deliver a letter. The family is ready and the things have been transported here. There is also a letter from Madam. Madam asked me to tell Master to quickly finish the construction of the house here and move the family here. Madam can help Master take care of trivial matters. A servant who followed them here handed a letter to Zhang Zhong and said to Zhang Zhong at the same time, Soon. If you work 24 hours a day without rest, the house will be finished in about 10 days. Lead the people over there to distribute the goods. Don't be in a hurry to go back tonight. Rest in the Jinlai building here. I still have something for you to do tomorrow. Zhang Zhong ordered again. He waved his hand and let the servant go. He Kangji watched and listened at the side. Seeing the county magistrate's servants dressed well and following the rules, he admired Zhang Zhong more and more. The commoners had already made their own choices and assigned the work to them. Those who did heavy work would naturally receive more wages. At this time, when they saw that the county magistrate had prepared people to work for them, they stood in line and came to receive their work. There weren't many people here today. Perhaps there would be more tomorrow. There weren't many outsiders either. Even if they joined, they couldn't stop them from working when they didn't have enough manpower. As long as the people were not forced to a certain extent, they were very obedient. Even if there were wild vegetables to fill their stomachs, they would not think of rebelling. Now that they had taken the tools, they immediately started to work. Originally, Zhang Zhong planned to start tomorrow. After more than 2 hours, the sky would gradually become dark. Looking at the people working there, Zhang Zhong realized that something was missing. He didn't ask anyone to prepare food, so he hurriedly asked someone to go back and get the ingredients so that they could cook here. Chapter 330. While the people at the foot of the mountain were busy, Registrar Zhan and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao were also busy at home. They were busy looking for something and the seal was gone. Who saw my seal? Deputy County Magistrate Xiao kept repeating this sentence. No matter how hard he tried to recall, he could not remember where the seal was lost. It was still used at noon. How could it be gone in the blink of an eye? The servants at home were afraid that the master would vent his anger on them if they went over at this time. So they all hid and let Deputy County Magistrate Xiao struggle. The servant who accompanied him last night was also helping him. Seeing that the master was anxious, he advised, "Master, why don't you go to the Yamen and tell the Yamen runners and ask them to help you look for it? Or you can ask Registrar Jean." "No, I can't go to the Yamen. If the people in the Yamen know that my seal is lost, they will definitely tell Zhang Zhong. I am afraid that Zhang Zhong will use this matter to make trouble. Let's go and ask Registrar Jean first." Deputy County Magistrate Xiao did not have time to sleep at this time. He changed into casual clothes and went out to Registrar Jean's house. He was worried that Zhang Zhong would need to report to the imperial court first after he knew that the seal was lost. Then he could only wait for the imperial court to issue another seal. This would waste a lot of time. Without the seal, there were some things that could not be done. If those merchants bought land and he did not have the seal, it would be easy for him to not get any benefits. When Deputy County Magistrate Xiao reached the door of Registrar Jean's house, the door was suddenly opened from the inside. Registrar Jean was also coming out. The two of them looked at each other and asked at the same time, "Did you see my seal?" "What? Your seal is also gone?" The two of them said at the same time again. "What should we do?" "Brother Byong, you have to think of a way. The seal is gone. We can only ask Zhang Zhong to report to the imperial court. If he gives the land away now, we will not get any benefits. We can't do anything bad to him. If we want to report to the imperial court will not recognize it if we don't have the seal." Registrar Jean was anxious now. He also thought of the issue of the land and asked Deputy County Magistrate Xiao to think of a way. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao didn't have any good ideas. He was also anxious. He paced back and forth in front of Mr. Jean's house. From time to time, he would stop and say a few harsh words saying what he would do after he found out who took the seal. While the two of them were fretting, the copywriter who used to have a good relationship with them came over and said, "Sirs, is it because you can't find the seal?" "What? How do you know? Did you take it?" Shen Yuan, to think that Registrar Jean and I have treated you so well. You actually took away our seals. Fine, tell us, what do you want?" Deputy County Magistrate Xiao thought that Shen Yuan wanted to get some benefits from them by taking away their seals, so he asked angrily. Shen Wendan was stunned for a moment before he hurriedly explained, "My lord, my two lords, how would I dare to take your seal? It was stolen by a person called Louis. When the two lords came out of the restaurant after eating, he is now a bailiff and the two lords' seals are still in the signing room." "Who is Louis? Bailiff? Good, he dares to be a bailiff, see if I don't. Since the seal has been taken back, then let's leave it at that. Shen Yuan, to think that Registrar Jean and I have treated you so well. Thank you for telling us about this matter. Otherwise we would still be anxious." When Deputy County Magistrate Xiao heard that the matter of the seal had been settled, he originally wanted to take revenge. However, he suddenly changed his mind. After all, he had to go through Zhang Zhong to deal with a bailiff. He could only find an opportunity in the future. He had just criticized Shen Yuan and now he praised him. Shen Yuan didn't dare to argue about the matter just now. His purpose of coming here was not just because of this. He smiled and said, "My lord, it's good that you are not anxious. My lord, I have an idea. What do you think will happen if we steal the seal of the county magistrate? Didn't we help a person who specializes in stealing things before? He is now living in the county. Let's find him and let him steal the seal of the county magistrate. Then we can do more things and we don't have to worry about the county magistrate. What do you think, my lord? This is not appropriate, right? If someone finds out, the crime will not be small. If not, his head will fall to the ground. Why don't you go and arrange it? After the matter is done, you will be rewarded. If it fails, you can take the money and go far away." Deputy County Magistrate Xiao was really tempted, but he didn't want to do it himself, so he pushed it to Shen Yuan. Shen Yuan had done a lot of things with them, so he had no choice but to agree. Shen Yuan was stunned. He didn't expect that his idea would get him involved. Looking at the two people's eyes, he gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, I will arrange for someone to find that cat burglar. Once he is found, I will let that person leave Huayuan County. But he can't leave without taking a single copper coin, right? I don't have that much money. Let's do this. Brother Shangyun, since it's in your house, you can take out 100 strings of coins and give it to that person. Take a few strings of coins and give the rest of the money." Deputy County Magistrate Xiao said to Registrar Zhan. Registrar Zhan had no choice but to agree. He turned around and took out 50 taels of silver and 2 strings of copper coins. He said, "Silver is easier to spend. Copper coins are heavy if you take too much. We only have this much silver in the house. 50 taels is enough. We can even set up a small house outside." Shen Yuan wanted to keep a portion of the 100 strings of coins for himself, but he didn't expect Registrar Zhan to only take 50 taels of silver. If it was given to the person who did the deed, it was not a small amount. After putting away the silver, he picked up the copper coins that weighed more than 10 kilograms and left with both of them. After Shen Yuan left, Registrar Zhan and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao were no longer in the mood to sleep. Both of them went to the Yamen together to take back their seals. After asking the Yamen runners, they found out that Zhang Zhong had gone to the mountain. Both of them smiled sinisterly. They felt that they could teach Zhang Zhong a lesson soon. Zhang Zhong was still at the foot of the mountain doing business. How would he know that someone was plotting against him? In fact, even if he knew, he wouldn't be afraid. At this time, the sky was a little cloudy. Zhang Zhong looked at the sky and said to He Kangji, "It seems that it will be raining for the next 2 days. We need to get people to prepare some straw raincoats and bamboo hats. Buy them and let the people make them themselves. If they can make it, we will buy them for them to wear. Also, people who live far away can't travel back and forth. Set up some tents here. Tell the people at the docks to tell them that we need 500 tents that can accommodate 4 people. Let the merchants name their price. Whichever tents are good and cheap will be used. Forget it. Ask if there is anyone in the county who specializes in this and let them hire people to do it. We will only give them 2 days, 500 tents." "I understand. I will arrange it now. They have to pay taxes when they sell tents. Hiring people can make more money for the people." At this time, He Kangji didn't need to be reminded to understand why the county magistrate changed his mind. He agreed and turned around to find someone to make the arrangements. The people who were working didn't know how much the county magistrate had thought for them, but the people who were waiting to cook were at the side. They finally understood how good the new county magistrate was to them. They whispered to each other, and all the topics revolved around the new county magistrate. Zhang Zhong also asked people to tell the people who were working that they couldn't have a safe place to sleep for the next 2 days. He asked them to hold on a little longer. They could light more bonfires to warm themselves. At night, they would be given more pancakes and bone soup. After doing this, Zhang Zhong thought for a while and said to the servants at home, "Go back and tell Cuckoo that I won't go back tonight. I will stay with the people. Let her read Arya by herself today. That's all for now." The servants knew. When they went back, they told the young master and young lady. But when they thought of this book, they felt a little scared. This book was all about explaining some words. It was so boring. Only the young master and young lady could read it. Night fell quickly. The clouds in the sky became denser. The stars and moon couldn't be seen. Bonfires were lit one by one. There were also curtains to block the rain. The rain hadn't fallen yet. Looking at the sky, it seemed like there was going to be a big one. The cooks had already prepared the food. There was only one rice dish, There was only a stew dish with some meat and bones. There were also some wild vegetables from the mountain. Zhang Zhong asked people to bring the eggplants, but no one was willing to eat them. They dug the wild vegetables themselves. There were also some mushrooms that were added to the stew. The garlic sauce was also prepared. A big bucket was placed there. When it rained later, they would scoop it out and dip it into the fatty meat slices. The people were willing to endure hardships. Originally, Zhang Zhong wanted to let them eat when it was dark. In the end, none of the people ate. They lit torches and continued to work. They would eat when it rained. The appearance of the people made Zhang Zhong decide that he must build Huayuan County as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would let down the people in his official robes. After waiting for another 2 hours, the rain finally fell under Zhang Zhong's expectation. The people who were working finally stopped and came to eat. Those who were in charge of cooking quickly filled the bowls for those who were working. Zhang Zhong also came over with a bowl. Those who were filling the bowls did not dare to move. A servant of the Zhang family also came over and said, "Master, shall we eat something else? We'll eat this today. We usually eat too much other food. It's only one time. Let's eat more. I'm hungry too." Zhang Zhong held the bowl and said he wanted to try the taste of the food. If it didn't work, he would ask someone to come over and teach him. A dish with meat should not be bad. He also added a lot of oil and seasonings. Zhang Zhong felt that his method was normal, but the people didn't think so. The people who served the rice were so moved that tears flowed down. They specially picked some fatty meat slices for the county magistrate. Zhang Zhong frowned. He didn't want to eat this. He wanted to eat some wild vegetables and mushrooms, but he couldn't refuse. Otherwise, what would the people think of him? Zhang Zhong's actions instantly closed the gap between the commoners. When the commoners saw that the county magistrate was also eating this and was enjoying it, they also ate happily. Today, they completely understood what kind of official the new county magistrate was. Chapter 331. In the mountains, pickaxes fell one after another. The sweating did not stop. Mud trucks came and went and the rain poured down. It was just dawn and the rain was still falling. Seemed to be getting heavier. The people put on the straw raincoats and bamboo hats that were sent to them and hurriedly ate breakfast before throwing themselves back to work. Zhang Zhong, who had stayed with them all night, also got on the carriage and headed to the county office. Horses could not be ridden anymore. Zhang Zhong gained a lot from this night, and the people approved of him from the bottom of their hearts. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also got up. The two of them really did read area yesterday. In fact, it was like reading a dictionary. After reading for 4 hours, their minds were muddled. The two of them ate tofu pudding. There were 3 long brocade boxes on the table, each with a ginseng in it. The long whiskers were as thick as a strand of hair at the bottom, but they were not broken. There was even a red string at the top. This was the ability of those merchants. Zhang Xiaobao did not know where they found these 300-year-old ginseng. Last night, in the middle of the night, in the rain, 3 ginseng. With 3 ginseng, Zhang Xiaobao could go out to play. 3? They don't want money. It seems that they want father to do something for them. Alright, keep it. You must keep it. After a few hundred years, it will become a 1,000-year-old ginseng. Then our plan can begin. Zhang Xiaobao did not know how to read ginseng, so he was not sure if it was a 100-year-old ginseng. He thought that the merchants did not have the guts to cheat his father. He could not accept the ginseng for free. Otherwise, wouldn't it be bribery? Zhang Xiaobao decided to help the merchants think of a way to make money after they bought the land. I have never seen you calculate like this. What 1,000-year-old? It's a fossil. Let's go to Yushu village tomorrow. It's time to dig the coal there. Do you think there will be oil where there is coal? Wang Wan closed the 3 boxes and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "How would I know? Even if there is oil, I don't know how to refine it. I'll be satisfied if I can burn coal in the winter. In a while, get someone to call my father back. We have to get back the money we invested as soon as possible. Invest more. It's best if we invest the money for the road as well. When that time comes, it'll be too late even if someone wants to object." Zhang Xiaobao finished the last mouthful of the bun, clapped his hands, and jumped down to find someone to call for his father. Because of the rain, Zhang Zhong took the bus back again. He set off from the mountain in the morning and arrived at his destination at noon. The wheels of the bus broke down twice on the way. Zhang Xiaobao was a little anxious while waiting. Those merchants were even more anxious than Zhang Xiaobao. They were waiting for the county magistrate to come back from a tea stall opposite the yamen. They drank tea from morning until noon. Once they saw the tea, they would feel salty and astringent in their mouths. They ate some snacks, but they didn't know whether they were full or hungry. The owner of the tea stall poked the middle of the shed with a stick to get rid of the rainwater on top of the shed. He brewed a new batch of tea and added some salt, ginger, and other things. He brought it to the merchants who were waiting here and said, "It's very wet outside. Why don't you come in and have a seat?" "No, we'll wait here." "Can't you not put so much in the tea? I don't know how it tastes in my mouth." "Go to the docks and have a look. There are only tea leaves and water. It's much better than this tea." A merchant said this for the fourth time. Ever since they drank tea at the docks, they didn't want to drink this tea anymore. Unfortunately, the docks didn't sell tea leaves, only tea water. It was very expensive and they didn't know where it came from. He didn't know, but the owner of the tea shop knew. This time he explained, "Everyone, it's not that I don't want to sell that kind of tea leaves. I've also tasted it. The taste is indeed different from this tea. But that tea was made by Zhangjia Zhuangzi and sold to the docks. I don't know how to make it. There are many kinds of tea dumplings and tea cakes in my shop. Even if you don't put the salt and directly soak them in water, the taste won't be the same. If you can find the recipe, I'm willing to pay 500 strings of coins." Don't even think about it. With the recipe, I won't sell it even if it's 50,000 strings of coins. I'll open my own tea stall. The merchant replied. At this time, a person beside him stood up and looked towards the east. His face showed a happy expression and said, "Don't worry about the tea. The county magistrate is back." Everyone turned their heads and looked. Sure enough, the county magistrate's carriage appeared in the rain. Several merchants didn't care about the rain outside and rushed out. The last person threw down the tea money and ran while shouting, "Wait for me, wait for me." Zhang Zhong stopped at Jinlai Tower before coming over. He knew that someone had sent the ginseng and could proceed to the next step. "Sir, you're back? How's your son?" A merchant rushed to the side of the carriage and asked with concern. In fact, he was reminding Zhang Zhong that the ginseng had been sent. Zhang Zhong lifted the curtain and said to this person, "Yes, I just went to see him. He has already woken up. The medicine last night was really good. Did you send the ginseng? Tell me, what do you want?" "My lord, I want the recipe for that tea." The merchant suddenly changed the topic they had agreed on before. "Oh, the recipe of the tea? That can't be done. It doesn't belong to my family. It belongs to the Wang family. How about I send you some tea? 50 kilograms. What do you think?" Of course, Zhang Zhong wouldn't give him the recipe. The tea was not only for money but also as a gift. When the merchant heard that he only wanted to send tea, 50 kilograms was indeed a lot, but it would be used up one day. Moreover, there was also some tea at the dock. He shook his head and said, "Sir, then we want to change it. We want to buy a piece of land near the dock. What do you think?" "Oh, that's easy. Buy a piece of land? Is it a piece of land without an owner?" Zhang Zhong asked deliberately. At this time, the carriage had already arrived at the entrance of the government office. Someone held an umbrella for them. Zhang Zhong got out of the carriage and motioned for the merchants to go in and discuss with him. At this time, a fast horse galloped from the side. A person wearing a bamboo hat and a straw raincoat was walking on the road. It seemed that he didn't hear the sound of the horse's hooves. The people around him immediately shouted at this person. Seeing that the horse was only a few zhang away from the man finally reacted. Shocked, he suddenly jumped to the side and bumped into Zhang Zhong. Only then did the guards of the prince's mansion come to their senses and protect Zhang Zhong. When they got off the carriage just now, Zhang Zhong was surrounded by merchants. The guards had been outside the carriage the whole time. In a moment of desperation, the man rushed quickly and didn't have time to block them. Seeing that Zhang Zhong was fine and that person was not an assassin, they were relieved. They secretly decided to protect him more closely in the future. Otherwise, if the little prince found out, it would be troublesome. "How is it? Are you hurt?" Zhang Zhong asked the person who was almost trampled by the horse. "No, I'm not hurt. I'm just scared. Sir, you do your thing. Don't worry about me." The person seemed to be frightened and said with a trembling voice, "Why don't you rest in the government office?" Zhang Zhong saw that the person was fine and invited him. The person shook his head so hard that the water on his bamboo hat splashed onto Zhang Zhong's face. After saying this, he lowered his head and left in a hurry. Zhang Zhong didn't care. He took the person into a room in the government office and asked someone to bring tea. He sat there and repeated what he had just said. The leader of the merchants said honestly, "Sir, there is a field over there. It's owned, but we can buy it. He will agree if we give him more money. But there is a field over there. Sir, do you think we can buy it for other things? Here is what we will do in the future. Erniu has already told us." As the merchant spoke, he took out a lot of envelopes and put them on the table. It was the proposal that Zhang Zhong asked them to write. Zhang Zhong casually took out one of the envelopes and looked at it. He nodded and said, "This is not bad. But there is a field over there. You will have to pay more money. Are you willing to do that?" Yes, we are willing." The merchant thought that the penalty would not be too high. A field used to grow rice would only produce once a year. A few strings of coins per mu was not a small amount. It was a few times more than the cost of growing rice. Zhang Zhong nodded again. "It's good that you are willing. We will see what is suitable for growing in that field. We will pay according to the price. We will pay once a year. But this matter is not decided by me alone. The Registrar General and the Deputy County Magistrate also have to agree." "Agreed, sir. Registrar General Zhan and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao have agreed. They told us about it the night before yesterday. You said that the two of them agreed. Do you think they will agree just because they agreed? They have not come to me before. How about this? Let them come to me and I will ask. If they really agree, you will take over the land." "Do you know that there is a difference in the local tax?" Zhang Zhong said with a look of disbelief. We know. The tax will be higher. We will pay. We are willing to pay. County Magistrate, we will go to the Deputy County Magistrate and the Registrar General now. We will let them talk to you then. Is that okay?" The merchants knew that the tax was high, but they could earn more. Seeing that the matter was settled, they agreed immediately. They were afraid that the county magistrate would change his mind, so they went to look for Registrar General Zhan and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao. Both of them were exhausted. Zhang Zhong was not back, so they could only help to solve some cases. Usually they could solve cases according to their preferences, but today they could not. There were still bailiffs and the Deputy County Magistrate at the side. Both of them had no choice but to solve the case seriously. It was not a big matter but just a small matter. But they had to solve it. Luckily they had hired many bailiffs. For example, whose house was washed away by water, whose chicken was lost, who took over whose land, etc. It was good to have bailiffs. They could continuously send them out to solve the case. Just now when the rain was heavy there were fewer people. They took some time to rest and the merchants came to look for them. Registrar General Zhan, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao, the County Magistrate has agreed. I would like to ask for your opinion. The esteemed person found the two of them. As he spoke, he gave them 10,000 strings of coins, 5,000 strings of coins each. With the money they could exchange it for real money or silk. Chapter 332. County Magistrate Zhang. I heard that you agreed to let those businessmen buy the fertile land? County Deputy Xiao and Registrar Zhan came to Zhang Zhong because of the 5,000 strings of cash. Zhang Zhong naturally wouldn't say whether he agreed or not. Instead, he asked, "Do you think that the fertile land should be sold?" The two paused and exchanged glances. Registrar Zhan spoke first. County Magistrate Zhang, I don't see any fertile land there. It's clearly a wasteland. Leaving it there won't produce any crops. Why not sell it? Who said that it's a wasteland? Just now, those businessmen also admitted that it's a fertile land. They are willing to pay a fine every year according to the amount of crops that can be grown in the field. Registrar Zhan, don't tell me that you can't even differentiate between fertile land and wasteland? Zhang Zhong didn't follow Registrar Zhan's words. He rebuked and reprimanded him. Registrar Zhan didn't expect that those businessmen were willing to pay the money now. He thought that it was like what they had agreed on. In that case, Zhang Zhong could decide by himself. Why did he need to ask the two of them? County Deputy Xiao was also puzzled. He wanted to guess what Zhang Zhong was thinking, but he couldn't. He could only cough softly and said, County Magistrate Zhang, since it's like this, then sell it. You can also collect more taxes. When the time comes, you can make up for the money you paid. When County Deputy Xiao talked about the money, he realized that Zhang Zhong wanted to get back the money. Although the money from selling the land and the fine couldn't be compared to what Zhang Zhong paid, at least they could get back some of it. At this time, Zhang Zhong said, "Since everyone has agreed, then write a written agreement. When the higher-ups pursue the matter, we can also advance and retreat together. When they find the owner of the field, spend money to buy it and let them do their own thing." Lord Zhang is straightforward. We will write it now. Registrar Zhan didn't expect Zhang Zhong to be so straightforward. He even changed the way he addressed him after getting the 5,000 strings of cash. Deputy Xiao didn't have much to say and agreed. The three of them each had a copy of the written documents. When the case was investigated, the three of them had to bear the responsibility together. After talking about this matter, Registrar Zhan and District Deputy Xiao thought of the land on the other side of the mountain. There was no one there and it belonged to the government. Both of them wanted to buy it first and build a shop as soon as possible. They didn't know what kind of shop to open and would think about it in the future. They didn't expect Zhang Zhong to bring it up before they could say anything. There's one more thing. It's about the mountain. The land on the mountain and at the foot of the mountain is like this. I want to rent out the land on the mountain, for example, to build a pavilion. If people do business in the pavilion, they will have to take some money. What do you think? Good. County Magistrate Zhang is right. There will be more and more people there in the future. Naturally, we will have to rent it. What about the land at the foot of the mountain? County Magistrate Xiao really admired Zhang Zhong's thinking now. He even thought about this. Zhang Zhong knew what both of them were thinking. Anyone who knew about that place would try to occupy it. Just now, when he was waiting for the Registrar Zhan and District Deputy Xiao, the nephew of the former Minister of Revenue by Go, had sent someone over to talk about it. It was a pity that although the place was good, he couldn't give it to his nephew. Not to mention him, even his own house couldn't occupy it. That was the place where Sun Simiao used to live. There were even going to be tombstones there. How many medical doctors were studying there? How many doctors and apprentices were yearning for it? His son had said that the place would be very prosperous in the future. There would be countless people coming and going. There was also going to be a Taoist temple there. No one could monopolize this kind of place with humanistic thoughts. It was like a pilgrimage. They could only give up the benefits and return the income to the county. The only thing they could occupy was the water bubble there. In the future, they could make it into a lake. It was connected to the river not far from there. They could have some ideas on it. As for the mountain, they could give it to the people in the imperial court, including the emperor. Zhang Zhong knew what his son meant. He wanted to sell the land to the two of them very cheaply. At that time, the two of them would be unlucky. But it would take a long time. How much money could the two of them have? Losing 2,000 or 3,000 strings of coins was enough to make them go crazy. How much money could the businessmen give them? How could they build the place quickly with that little money? It wasn't their own house. They didn't care about thousands of strings of coins at all. Just the title of Zhuangyuan cost them more than 100,000 strings of coins. Of course, this was impossible. His son and daughter-in-law were full of such things. Lord Zhang, say something. Just as Zhang Zhong was thinking about something, Registrar Zhan couldn't hold it in any longer and approached him to ask. Zhang Zhong came out of his thoughts and said, I know what the two of you mean, but that place can't be given to the two of you. He's like this. Zhang Zhong said part of what he was thinking about just now. He didn't say the part where he made money. The two of them broke out in a cold sweat. They didn't expect there to be so many things, but they couldn't figure out why Zhang Zhong didn't take this opportunity to harm the two of them. At that time, no one could save the two of them. Sir, what are you? Even if Registrar Zhan had always wanted to get rid of Zhang Zhong, he couldn't help but admire Zhang Zhong's magnanimity. He clearly had the opportunity to harm the two of them, but he didn't. Instead, he said it. Zhang Zhong didn't answer him. Instead, he said, Here's what I'm thinking. The government office will pay for the construction of shops there. When the time comes, we'll rent them out and rent them again every 3 years. Whoever pays the highest price will be able to rent it. Whoever has the most ability will be able to rent it. When the time comes, everyone will do business together. Even if I'm no longer the county magistrate, the new county magistrate won't dare to have any ideas about that place. There's no money in the account now. I can pay for it. When the yamen has the money, they will give it to me. In the future, when they rent it for 3 years, the minimum price for each shop will be 1,700 strings of coins. As for the bigger shops, the price will be higher. If the two of you are willing to rent them, I can rent a few rooms to you first. You don't have to compete with others for this. My family is also planning to build a few. As for the other people in the yamen, as long as they can afford it and don't rent it for others, they can be set aside first. As for those shops, whoever rents them can run them for 3 years. During these 3 years they can't rent them out. This is to prevent the price from being too high. If the people who come can't afford it, then the place will be wasted. Registrar Zhang and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao listened to Zhang Zhong's words. They were speechless for a long time. They really couldn't understand what benefits Zhang Zhong's family would get from doing this. They could even give up such a big benefit. It seemed that everything was for the sake of the people of Huayuan. This kind of thing was impossible for the two of them. If they didn't take the opportunity to make more money, what was the use of being a good official? Was this the difference between the rich and the poor? That's right. The Zhang family didn't have to work hard to make money. They opened their own businesses, but they couldn't. They had only made some money in the past few years. Registrar Zhang was a little shaken. He didn't want to continue to deal with Zhang Zhong. He looked at Deputy County Magistrate Xiao. He was suppressed by Zhang Zhong's magnanimity and his dignity of wholeheartedly serving the people. He felt that Zhang Zhong was a gentleman and he was a villain. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao was also thinking about it. However, he didn't feel that there was a difference between a gentleman and a villain. He just wanted to live a better life. He wanted to be above others. What he thought was, didn't the current emperor get the position after the Xuanwu Gate? Thinking of this, he made a decision. County Magistrate Zhang, since this is the case, let's write another document. He wanted Zhang Zhong to take out more money. Anyway, the yamen couldn't have money immediately unless those businessmen were willing to give Zhang Zhong money. Now it seemed that they wouldn't. The Zhang family was rich and had given him ginseng. Zhang Zhong nodded and said, "Okay, let's write it." The two of them wrote the document as fast as they could and pressed their own seals on it. Zhang Zhong reached into his pocket to take the seal. When he touched it, his face suddenly changed. There was no seal in his pocket. Where did it go? Well, that matter hasn't been settled yet. Let me go back and think about it. That's all for today. When the businessmen buy other people's land, we can do business there. Zhang Zhong took out his hand from his pocket and said to Registrar Zhang and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao. Both of them were stunned. Seeing that Zhang Zhong didn't want to say anything else, they could only leave. Brother Byong, are we still going to deal with Zhang Zhong? He helped us today. Otherwise, if we really bought that land, we might even lose our lives. Registrar Zhang said to Deputy County Magistrate Xiao after walking out of the door and dozens of steps. What? Are you afraid of him? Don't think that I don't know that he didn't say those words for us. He was afraid that we would be delayed for too long. If he really wanted to harm us, he would have to wait for us to fix that place first and for him to bring a lot of people over. When would that happen? He can't wait. He wants to bribe us and make us listen to him. Both of us are older than him. His family is just a little rich. If he wants us to listen to him, he can dream on. After this year, you will be 30 years old. Are you willing to be his assistant? Deputy County Magistrate Xiao obviously thought differently from Registrar Zhang. He was used to being domineering. Even when County Magistrate Wen was here, his words had a certain effect. County Magistrate Wen just wanted to discuss with him. Registrar Zhang didn't have much of an opinion. When he heard Deputy County Magistrate Zhao's words, he immediately explained. No, I don't think so. I just think that it's too difficult to defeat him. Let's give him a boost and let him get promoted. At that time, won't we have the final say in Huayuan County? Dream on. At that time, Huayuan County will be like Sanshui County. The one with the surname Chung left, and the one with the surname Jia came immediately. We can't let him do his job well. Otherwise, we won't have another chance. Let him get promoted? Why don't we get promoted? Even if he gets promoted, he will still have a higher position than us. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao said angrily. He was afraid that the people around him wouldn't continue to do things with him. My lord, my two lords, you are here. Look, what have I brought? Suddenly, a person ran in front of them. It was Xin Yuan. When he arrived in front of them, he put his hand into his other sleeve. Chapter 333. Registrar Zhan and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao looked at Xin Yuan in confusion. When Xin Yuan took out a piece of the seal from his sleeve and saw a touch of yellow light, they finally understood what it was. Put it away. Don't talk. Let's go. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao pushed Xin Yuan's hand and let him put the seal back into his sleeve. The three of them hurriedly came to a place where there was no one, and then they felt relieved. Xin Yuan took out the seal again. The two of them hurriedly looked at the word, Seal of Huayuan County Magistrate on it and quickly let Xin Yuan put it away. Xin Yuan, have you arranged for the two people over there? Deputy County Magistrate Xiao asked cautiously. Yes, the two of them left together. The person who delivered the seal told me that after this matter, he didn't owe us anything anymore. He was alone and wouldn't come back in the future. He also told us not to think of ways to find him. Xin Yuan had an indescribable feeling of excitement. He found this matter was so exciting that he stole the seal of the county magistrate. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao finally felt relieved and said, no one will find him in the future. You keep the seal well. It's better to hide it in a place where no one knows. Humph. Let's see how he can carry out the government order this time. Registrar Zhan's expression changed and he also said, when the businessmen buy that place and come here to exchange the deed, Zhang Zhong won't be able to do anything. Of course, people like us can report to the higher-ups if we lose the seal. The higher-ups won't care about people like us. But if a county magistrate loses the seal, he might lose his official position. Xin Yuan felt that he had done an earth-shattering thing, so he also said happily, hurry up and let those businessmen talk about the matter of buying the land. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao felt that he couldn't control himself and wanted to shout. Now he knew why Zhang Zhong had changed his mind when he went to take out the seal. The seal was gone. A county magistrate had actually lost his seal. How capable was he? Could he do anything for the people? That was when there was a seal. Now let's see who can save you. The three of them returned to the front with similar but slightly different feelings. They still had to continue to solve the case in the afternoon. This was not Sanshui County. Everyone in the Yamen could only stroll outside and chat with the people. There were still many things to deal with in Huayuan County. However, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao no longer felt unhappy about helping the county magistrate deal with these things. He had already regarded himself as the county magistrate now. Many things in Huayuan County had not been completed yet. Now that Zhang Zhong had stepped down, it was natural for him to take over as the county magistrate of this county. Zhang Zhong was very anxious now. How could the seal be gone? He called the guards of the prince's mansion to ask them. After some analysis, they finally figured out when the official seal was lost. It was the person who was startled by the horse and stole the seal the moment the horse bumped into him. Zhang Zhong wanted to seal the whole county and only allow people to enter but not leave. He also wanted to check everyone's body. However, he knew that it was impossible. Once he did that, everyone would know that he had lost the seal. That would be the end of him. Besides, if that person hid himself, where could he find him? Huayuan County was so big that there were not so many people. After thinking about it, Zhang Zhong had to send out 18 of the 20 guards of the prince's mansion. He asked them to think about what the person who bumped into him looked like. They would ride around and look for him. If they found him, they would catch him. Although he knew that there was little hope, he had to put his last hope on it. When the 18 guards left, County Deputy Xiao and the others also knew about it. They were secretly happy. The businessmen were also urged by them to hurry up and buy land. This was a small matter, and they did not need the official seal of the county magistrate. This made County Deputy Xiao slightly disappointed. The sky gradually darkened. Zhang Zhong looked at the drenched guards and asked. Everyone shook their heads. Go back to Jinlai restaurant. Zhang Zhong had no other choice. He called out and walked out. When he walked to the door, he saw Registrar Zhan. County Deputy Xiao and Shun Wendy were also preparing to leave. The three of them looked very happy. It seemed that they were going to have a gathering outside. County Magistrate, you are going too? Why don't the four of us go and have a meal together? County Deputy Xiao saw Zhang Zhong and changed the way he addressed Zhang Zhong. He was so confident that he could win. He said to Zhang Zhong with a smile of exultation, No, I have to go and see my son. Zhang Zhong was not in the mood to chat with them. After saying a few words, he quickly got on the carriage and left. Humph! Let's see how long you can be the county magistrate. Bah! County Deputy Xiao looked at the carriage that he could not get on now and spat fiercely. On the way, Zhang Zhong was in a trance. He really did not know what to do. What would happen if he lost his official seal? After a while, the carriage finally entered the courtyard where Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stayed. Zhang Zhong walked out of the carriage as if he had lost his soul. He walked into the house of his son and daughter-in-law. The moment he entered the house, he smelled a fragrance. Unfortunately, he was not in the mood to eat. He went to the study and found no one. He went to the bedroom and found no one. He went to the side hall and found no one. He smelled the fragrance and went directly to the kitchen. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were busy there. They were steaming something in the pot in the kitchen. The two of them were also pouring soup into the steamed buns. The two of them were chatting while they were cooking. Xiaobao, it's too troublesome to do this. Why don't you put in frozen stuffing? Other people use crab stuffing. Do you think the shrimp stuffing is delicious? I don't care about that kind of cooking method. Let's make the best ones. At this time, the shrimp stuffing is the most fragrant. If you don't taste it carefully, the taste is actually the same. When my father comes back, I have to teach him how to eat it. Otherwise, it will burn his mouth. Who says it's the same? There is someone. Wang Wan was talking when the two of them turned around at the same time. The sound of steam in the pot and the comfortable environment here affected their perception of the outside. At the same time, Zhang Zhong did not have any malicious intentions. Otherwise, the two of them would have discovered it earlier. Father, you are back? You haven't eaten yet, right? I made a new dish for you, soup dumplings. It's delicious. You can try it later. Father, what's wrong with you? When Zhang Xiaobao saw that his father had come, he said happily. Suddenly, he found that his father's expression was a little strange. No, nothing. I will try Xiaobao and Cuckoo's cooking in a while. You go ahead with your work. Zhang Zhong's mood was better at this time. Looking at the two children busily making food for him, he felt that no matter how difficult the days were, he would be able to persevere. Whose family's children could make such delicious food at such a young age? He had never seen such a thing before. So what if he lost his official seal? With his identity as the top scorer, he would not be beheaded. In addition, he had offered something. Even the emperor had to think about it carefully. At worst, he would quit being the county magistrate and go back to Sanshui County. So what if he was the county magistrate? He still had to listen to his family. It was not too difficult to find a chance to start again in the future. Well, let's eat first. Let's taste the food made by my son and daughter-in-law. Thinking of this, Zhang Zhong's mood was much better. He turned around and went to the dining room, waiting for the soup dumplings to be ready. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao continued to cook, waiting for the soup to be poured in. When the pot was ready, Zhang Xiaobao began to stir-fry. He had a very small pan with a flat bottom. He put the things cut with a small kitchen knife into it to stir-fry. Wang Wan was watching the pan. After busying for half an hour, the soup dumplings were ready. Zhang Xiaobao also made two dishes. One was stir-fried shredded beef with coriander, and the other was stir-fried prawns. The two dishes were made at the same time. The beef had been blanched with water first, and the two dishes were served one after another. Zhang Xiaobao put the dishes on the tray and held it with one hand. Wang Wan used a bamboo clip to pick up the soup dumplings one by one on the plate with vegetable leaves. The two people came to the dining room one after another. Father Zhang was sitting there. He had already thought it through. He would report this matter directly to the capital and not ask for help. He believed that there would be people in the capital who would help. If it really didn't work, he would go back home. As for the death penalty or exile, it was impossible for him. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan put the soup dumplings and vegetables on the table and sat together opposite Zhang Zhong. Father, try the soup dumplings made by your son. Father, when you eat this soup dumplings, you have to first make a small bite of the soup dumplings and then… Forget it, Father, let's put it this way. The soup in the soup dumplings is very hot, and there is a lot of soup. Be careful when you eat it. Don't burn it. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to tell his father how to eat the soup dumplings, but after saying a few words, he felt that it was unnecessary. Wasn't it just too hot? He just had to be careful. Hearing this, Zhang Zhong picked up a steamed bun and placed it on the plate. He carefully made a small bite of the steamed bun with his chopsticks, looked inside and blew on it again. A burst of hot steam rose up and he nodded. It was indeed hot, so he made the bite bigger and blew on it again. Only then did he put his mouth on it and suck it. Sure enough, there was a lot of soup. His son and daughter-in-law had just poured it in. After drinking the soup, he stuffed the steamed bun into his mouth and slowly chewed it. When he swallowed it, Zhang Zhong exhaled. Father, is it edible? Zhang Xiaobao asked as he picked up a shrimp and placed it on his father's plate. Yes, it's delicious. It's even better than the frozen dumplings. Zhang Zhong was not praising it because of his son's cooking. It was indeed delicious. He had never eaten it before. The dumplings were made with hot noodles, while the steamed bun was made with dough. The taste was different. Zhang Xiaobao laughed happily. Father, if you like to eat, eat more. There is a pot in the kitchen. It's enough. In 2 days, your son will make a small vegetable box and cat ear soup for you. Oh right, there is also wine. I'll go get some. Zhang Xiaobao said as he jumped off the chair, ran to another room and came back with a jar. Zhang Zhong had no worries at this time. He picked up the wine bowl and drank a mouthful. He looked at his son and daughter-in-law with a gratified smile. Chapter 334. Zhang Zhong's chopsticks and prawns fell on the table at the same time. He stared at his son and asked, Xiaobao, how did you know? Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan, and Wang Wan also looked back. The two of them showed an expression of, as expected. Wang Wan jumped down and took back a pair of chopsticks. Zhang Xiaobao also peeled off the shell of a prawn and put the meat on his father's plate. Then he said to his father, who was in a daze, Father, I was just guessing. Think about it, what can make you worry? Zhang Kaijin and Xiao Qi, those two idiots, are not worth your trouble. We don't lack money. Little Luo Shui still has between the clouds and the water. We are making money every day. Plus we have other businesses. It won't take much effort to get tens of thousands of strings of coins. You don't have to worry about the officialdom. In the capital we have taken care of all the people who should be taken care of. Money, tea leaves, fungus and so on. If there is any trouble, even if they don't help, they should at least send a message. You are good to my mother. And it can't be because of other women. You pity the people and we are doing something to help them. After thinking about it, other than losing the official seal, there is no other reason. It must have been stolen by those two people. Father, to be honest, I really don't like this kind of method. Did someone suddenly bump into you and you don't know what happened? Are you waiting for the seal to disappear? Zhang Xiaobao said. If Zhang Zhongxin's chopsticks were not in his mouth, they would have fallen again. He was dumbfounded. It was as if his son had seen it with his own eyes. Father, don't keep thinking about the seal. Let's eat. Forget it, I'll give you the seal first. Zhang Xiaobao put down his chopsticks, jumped to the ground and ran again. After a while, he came back with the seal in his hands and tiptoed to put it on the table in front of his father. He sat back down on the chair and said to his father, Father, this is the real one. Don't lose it again. If you lose it again, we'll have to use a fake one. I borrowed a seal from you that day and made 2 fake ones when I got back. One is for you to carry with you at all times, and the other is placed somewhere else. This one has really been kept under Cuckoo and your son's couch all this time. Father, let's eat. This method is really too old-fashioned. Your son originally thought that it was superfluous, but I didn't expect that someone would actually use it. Zhang Zhong put down his chopsticks and picked up the seal. Looking at the words, Huayuan County Magistrate's seal, he was stunned again. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan continued eating. It wouldn't taste good when it got cold. After waiting for about half a quarter of an hour, Zhang Zhong finally came back to his senses. He slammed the official seal on the table and laughed. Ha ha ha, who can compare with me? Who could? I have a good son. It's just a small trick. My son doesn't like it at all. Ha ha ha, let's eat. Today's steamed buns are really delicious. Zhang Zhong was very happy. When he got the official seal that day, his son borrowed it for one night. He thought that his son was really curious, but who knew that his son actually made a fake one? He thought that the seal had already been prepared, and the only thing left was to engrave the words. It was nothing more than preparing for a rainy day and anticipating the enemy first. Looking at his son and daughter-in-law's indifferent appearance when they were eating, he felt that this was the real demeanor of a general. After being busy for a while, those who should be worried were worried, and those who should be laughing were laughing. Those people actually brought back a fake seal. The real seal and the fake seal were the same, but they were made in batches, so there was still a difference. When the time came, whoever took out the fake seal would have to wait for bad luck. Zhang Zhong was in a good mood. He didn't want to praise his son anymore. He picked up a soup dumpling and threw it into his mouth, not caring if it was hot or not. He exhaled as he chewed. Father, why don't you put the real seal in the hands of the guards and take the fake seal out? Tonight you still have to go to that mountain. You can sleep there at night and come back in the morning. Leave the work to the two of them. You have won the hearts of the people, and they will suffer. In the future you can come back at night to eat something. When you reach there you can take a nap. Wake up in the middle of the night and have supper with them. You can sleep after eating. Tomorrow I will go with Cuckoo to walk around. We have to choose a good place for the lake. After a few days the dock will be able to build boats. I will ask them to build a few boats for pleasure. When the lake is ready we can put them in the lake. On the other side of the mountain we can build a road that connects to the lake. Our family can also earn more money. Father, don't you think so? Seeing that his father was happy, Zhang Xiaobao began to talk about the next step. Wang Wan listened and gave Zhang Xiaobao a smile. When Zhang Xiaobao said to make a fake seal, she didn't think it was necessary. Now she knew that Zhang Xiaobao had thought of everything that could happen. His plan was almost perfect. If there was a little flaw, it would be the sublimation of art. Others would feel proud when they came up with a plan, but Zhang Xiaobao had already returned everything to normal. This was the style of a person who was wanted by countless countries. His existence was a legend. Zhang Zhong didn't think as much as Wang Wan. He didn't know his son's past. He only knew that it would be difficult for the Zhang family not to become a big family in the future. He couldn't imagine what the Zhang family would be like in the future. He stuffed another steamed bun into his mouth. Looking at the official seal on the table, he swallowed the steamed bun and said, Xiaobao Cuckoo, I can't teach you for a few days. Take a good look at area. If you can memorize it, try your best. After a while I will leave. Let the guard take the real seal. I will take the fake one. Father, don't worry. We will take good care of ourselves. Don't forget to come over for dinner tonight. I promise that you will eat different things for a month. If there are enough materials you can eat different things for a year. Zhang Xiaobao liked to see his family happy, so he came with his father and resolved all possible crises in advance. Zhang Zhong couldn't tell what his mood was at this time. It was just like when he lost the seal. It was like a dream. He picked up a piece of beef, ate it, and said, well, I will come back every night to eat the food cooked by my son and daughter-in-law. Be careful. Don't burn it. The three of them ate a pot and a half of soup dumplings. Zhang Zhong ate the most. He ate one after another and drank 2 bowls of wine. He left his son's place a little shakily. Before leaving, he didn't forget to touch his son's head. At this time the guards had just finished eating and thought that they didn't have to go out. However, Zhang Zhong found them and handed an official seal to the leader of the 20 guards. He said, take it. This is the real one. I have a fake one in my arms. Come, ride with me to the mountain to have a look. The leader of the guards took the official seal in a daze. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but in the end he didn't say anything. He actually wanted to ask if the one he lost was also a fake one. He weighed the seal in his hand and said, "Sir, don't worry. Even if I have a breath left, I won't lose the real seal. Brothers, get on the horses." It was still raining outside. Zhang Zhong didn't care. He was in a good mood now and didn't care about the weather at all. He got on the horse and galloped towards the mountain under the protection of the guards. Those merchants had already listened to County Deputy Xiao and Registrar Zhan. They went to find the owner of the land. The owner didn't know the value of the land. After the merchants offered him 30 strings of coins per mu, he agreed happily. The merchants sent someone to the county town to report that night. Registrar Zhan, County Deputy Xiao, and Shen Wendian were still awake. The three of them found a small shop and ate and drank inside. In order not to eat yesterday's food, Shen Wendian went in first to order the dishes. Registrar Zhan and County Deputy Xiao went in after the dishes were served. The three of them ate and drank in the shop while waiting for the news from the merchants. "Well, from now on this place won't be Zhang Zhong's world. Wait for me to get promoted. At that time you won't be short of benefits." County Deputy Xiao, who drank too much, said loudly. There were only 6 diners left. Hearing his words, they couldn't help but frown. It seemed that the new county magistrate was going to be unlucky. In the past they didn't care about this. But this time it was different. The new county magistrate was a good official who was willing to make decisions for the people. If he really quit and let the original registrar take over, Huayuan County wouldn't be able to have a good life. The 6 of them still remembered how Registrar Zhan, County Magistrate Xiao, and those people in the government office treated them when the person surnamed one was the county magistrate. When the 6 of them were frowning, Registrar Zhan seemed to be unwilling to do so. He said to County Deputy Xiao, "Brother Byong, we lost our seals. The county magistrate didn't say that he wouldn't give it to us. So what we do now is not good. After all, we need to rely on him to make a fortune in the future." "What's not good about it? What's not good about it? You can say it louder. I can't hear you." Make a fortune? Do we still need him to make a fortune? I can do it. I know. Isn't it just fixing the mountain and sending people to the capital city to say how good this place is? It's simple. After I become the county magistrate, I'll send people over. Brother Shangyun, you can't hesitate at this time. You can easily get yourself into trouble. Listen to me. When you understand, let's see what ability Zhang Zhong has. He dared to make us lose our money. Don't you want to take revenge? Don't think that he can make Huayuan County good. In fact, it's all fake. I can do it without him. I know it. I just didn't have this opportunity before. Give me a chance and I can do better than others. Wen is not a surname and Zhang is not a surname either. County Deputy Xiao said. He held the bowl and some wine spilled from time to time. He didn't seem to notice it. With a special smile on his face, he put the bowl to his mouth and drank. Most of the wine flowed into his clothes, a small part went into his mouth, and some went into his nostrils. He choked and covered his head. Chapter 335. Zhang Zhong rode his horse in the heavy rain. When he arrived at the foot of the mountain, he found that the people had not eaten and were still working. It was so dark that he couldn't see the situation there clearly. "The Lord is here, the Lord is here," a sharp-eyed child shouted, and other people also found the county magistrate coming through the rain. Zhang Zhong dismounted and wiped the rain on his face with his hand. He looked at the people under the shed. At this time there were not only people working but also some children with their families. Some of them gathered together and looked at him with curious eyes. "Where is the person in charge? What's going on? It's so dark, why aren't you eating? Why are you working?" Zhang Zhong shouted loudly as he saw the flickering figures under the shelter. Immediately, a person in charge ran over and said respectfully, "County Magistrate, everyone is not tired and wants to work more. Don't worry, we didn't go up the mountain at night. In the afternoon, someone gave an idea to let everyone just dig before dark and only transport at night. It's easier to transport the soil than to dig, and it can be transported even if you can't see. Who gave the idea? Zhang Zhong didn't expect that the people in the county could use this method to work. It's Brother Pan. Come here, Brother Pan. The Lord wants to see you. The person in charge shouted to the crowd, and a 12 or 13-year-old girl squeezed out. She didn't know what was rubbed on her face, but there were streaks on her face. She was wearing a pair of straw sandals. The front part of the sandals was open, revealing her big toe. Her pants were shorter and were patched up like her clothes. In her arms was a naked 2-year-old child. The child grabbed the clothes around the girl's neck with one hand and waved the other hand curiously with a half-clenched fist. Brother Pan, come here. Lord, this is Brother Pan who gave the idea. Her family name is Zhu, and that child is her younger brother. She has an older sister and 2 younger sisters. One is 9 years old and the other is 7 years old. One is called Brother Wang and the other is called Brother Dai. The steward beckoned for the little girl to come over and introduced her to Zhang Zhong in great detail. Zhang Zhong immediately understood. There were 4 sisters in the family, and one of them had a younger brother. From the name, one could tell that there was a boy in the family. Sir. The little girl Pandi took a few steps forward and called out timidly to Zhang Zhong. Okay. Brother Pan, how did you come up with that idea? Zhang Zhong tried his best to make his voice as gentle as possible. He waved his hand and asked the person who was preparing the clothes for him to come over. He took the dry clothes from the person's hand, pulled off the blue silk shirt inside, and wrapped it around the naked child's body. My lord, how could I bear to do that? Brother Pan, the Lord is asking you a question. Hurry up and answer. The steward felt a little distress for the torn clothes, but at the same time, he was grateful to the county magistrate in his heart. He urged the little girl who didn't dare to speak. Brother Pan touched the silk cloth with her hand and felt the smoothness of it. Finally, she mustered up the courage to say, My older sister is married. When I am at home, I have to take care of my younger sister and younger brother. I also have to work. I can't do it alone, so I thought of some things to do first and then to do later. That is, when I am chopping firewood, I let my 3rd sister take care of my younger brother when I am picking vegetables, and let my 4th sister do the laundry. In the courtyard I can see them. When I go in to cook, I let my 4th sister take care of my younger brother and watch the pot, and let my 3rd sister light the fire. When I am cooking I can see them. Brother Pan couldn't explain it too clearly. She gave a simple example which seemed to have nothing to do with the idea of working over there. Many people may only understand the general idea, but Zhang Zhong could understand the things contained in it. This was what his son and daughter-in-law talked about when they were arranging things in the family. Thinking that his son and daughter-in-law would always spend a lot of effort to cultivate some smart children, Zhang Zhong decided to keep this little girl. Goodwill said. Reward. Zhang Zhong nodded with satisfaction and gave a look to the person next to him. That person immediately took out a dozen copper coins and handed them over to Brother Pan. Darren rewarded you. Quickly take it, otherwise Darren will not be happy. The steward saw that Brother Pan didn't dare to reach out his hand, so he urged again. Zhang Zhong watched Brother Pan take the money and asked the steward, Why are there so many children and old people? Darren, they are all working people's families. You let people eat a lot of food every day. Everyone found that as long as some wild vegetables are mixed in, more people can eat. The children can pick the wild vegetables, and the old people can help to repair the household furniture, weave baskets and so on. In the morning, the people close to the family called their families over. Darren, these people don't need to be paid. The food we eat every day is still the same food, oil and salt. We won't let Darren spend more money. The steward was a little worried and explained to Zhang Zhong, emphasizing that they didn't need to spend more money. He was afraid that the county magistrate would drive them away. When Zhang Zhong heard this, he felt uncomfortable in his heart. It was not caused by him, but now that it was under his control, he could not just grab the person surnamed one from the capital and make him spit out the money without a single cent missing. Well, let's do it like this first. Tomorrow let people send food, oil and salt. Add a little bit and we'll be fine after this period of time. Zhang Zhong could only arrange like this. Driving people away was absolutely impossible. Thank you, Darren. Everyone is relieved now. Darren, you haven't eaten yet, right? Let's eat here in a while. The steward said happily. The people around him who were also worried were now relieved. I've eaten. You guys eat. I came over to take a look. Eat early and rest. I still have to continue working tomorrow. Zhang Zhong felt uncomfortable when he thought that there would be fat slices for him when eating. The steward waved his hand and asked the people around him to disperse. Darren, I'm not tired. Usually when I find something to do, I can only get one meal. Once I work, it will take an entire day. Zhang Zhong nodded and didn't say anything more. He followed the steward, who took a set of dry clothes to a corner and pulled up a curtain to change his wet clothes. This night was another night that made the people happy. The mark of the county magistrate as a good official had been deeply engraved in their hearts. The next morning, Zhang Zhong woke up and ate breakfast with the people. He prepared a little and looked up at the sky. The light rain was still falling. He knew that today was the time to face some things. He flipped over on his horse and led a group of guards. Under the respectful farewells of the people, he splashed the water and left. Registrar Jean and Deputy Xiao also woke up early in the morning. After freshening up, they took a carriage and went to the yamen. The merchants also brought the sellers of the fields over. The door of the yamen was half opened and propped up with a stick. They began to deal with the things that would happen today. Maybe it was because of the rain, or maybe the people really didn't have anything to trouble the yamen. After waiting for more than 2 hours, no one came. When the sound of the horses' hooves came, it also told the people that the county magistrate was here. Zhang Zhong came to the entrance of the yamen. He dismounted from the horse and landed on the ground. He straightened his official uniform, which was already wet, and stepped in. There were also people who prepared dry clothes for him to change into. After a busy period, Zhang Zhong finally came to the signing room while Registrar Jean and Deputy Xiao were anxiously waiting. What happened to the two of you today? Last night I went to the mountain to have a look. The progress is good. Zhang Zhong said to Registrar Jean and Deputy Xiao indifferently. Deputy Xiao looked at Zhang Zhong's appearance and thought to himself, you can just pretend here. Let's see what you will do later. Then he said, County Magistrate Zhang, the people in the county live and work peacefully. There is nothing to do today. Oh, those businessmen have come and bought the land. Why don't we deal with their land first? Isn't it a little too rushed? It's still raining outside. Even if we buy the land, we can't immediately build the house. Zhang Zhong said so deliberately. Sure enough, his words made Registrar Jean and Deputy Xiao reveal an expression that said they already knew it. Deputy Xiao wouldn't let go of the opportunity. He continued, it's raining now, so we can't build the house. But we can do other things. The main thing is to let the businessmen rest assured. Look, Registrar Jean and I have written down what you said. As long as they come and read it, we three will stamp it and it will be done. When he spoke, he deliberately emphasized the word stamp and looked at Zhang Zhong with a smile. Zhang Zhong cooperated with him and hesitated for a moment. He said, why don't we take a good look at it? If there is something not suitable, won't someone suffer losses? Whether it's suitable or not depends on what the businessmen say. County Magistrate Zhang, I think you won't think it's not suitable. Why haven't you come yet? Deputy County Magistrate Xiao looked at the door when he was talking. Zhang Zhong thought that when he came in, Shen Wendan passed by behind him. He should be looking for the businessman. Seeing Deputy County Magistrate Xiao looking at the door, Zhang Zhong also looked at the door. Speak of the devil. In less than 10 breaths, the sound of footsteps could be heard. After waiting for a few breaths, Shen Wendan came with a group of businessmen. First, the person who sold the land and the businessman made a deal. In this kind of deal, it didn't have to use the county magistrate's seal. There were 3 people in the yamen who could take care of things. Any one of them would do. Therefore, Zhang Zhong didn't take out his seal. Deputy Xiao didn't force him. He stamped with his seal and waited for the person who sold the land to go out. He said to the businessman, this is the document drafted by the county. Take a look. Is there anyone who disagrees with it? A piece of paper was sent to the businessmen. They just went through it. Yesterday they already knew what was written on it. Each of them had a copy. After glancing at it, They shook their heads to show that they didn't disagree with it. Put your fingerprints. Deputy Xiao stamped the paper with his seal one by one. Registrar Jean also followed suit. Then the businessmen put their fingerprints on the paper. One by one, they put their fingerprints on the paper and put their red fingerprints on the paper. After the fingerprints were put, everyone's eyes were on Zhang Zhong. Deputy Xiao finished a piece of paper and handed it to Zhang Zhong respectfully. County Magistrate, it's your turn. Chapter 336. Zhang Zhong took the paper and looked at those businessmen. The businessmen didn't know what was going on with the people in the government office. They were expecting the county magistrate to stamp the paper. This was something that they could exchange with ginseng. Zhang Zhong then turned his gaze to Shen Wendan. Shen Yuan jumped in fright, thinking that the county magistrate already knew that he was the one who hired someone to steal the seal. He quickly lowered his head, his hands trembling by his side. His reaction made Zhang Zhong's eyes light up. He was worried that he couldn't find the person who stole the paper. Unexpectedly, there was someone who looked at him with fear. This meant that this matter at least had something to do with him. Wei Wei nodded. Zhang Zhong then looked at Registrar Jean. Registrar Jean returned a complicated look and said nothing. Of course he wouldn't tremble either. The last one was Deputy County Magistrate Xiao. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao looked at Zhang Zhong fearlessly with a hint of mockery in his eyes. Zhang Zhong smiled and deliberately said to County Deputy Xiao, "Can I stamp the paper?" "Are you kidding, sir? How can this kind of thing be taken lightly?" County Deputy Xiao sneered. "Oh, in that case I will stamp it." As Zhang Zhong said, he put his hand into his chest and slowly took it out. Under the eyes of the people with different thoughts, Zhang Zhong held something wrapped in silk cloth in his hand. He pulled the ink pad closer and slowly undid the silk cloth. When the last button was undone, a golden paper appeared in front of everyone. When Zhang Zhong picked up the paper and was about to dip it in the ink pad, Shen Yuan couldn't help but exclaim, "This is impossible. How can the paper be in your hand?" "Shut up. What are you talking about?" County Deputy Xiao didn't expect Shen Yuan to be so immature. He scolded him and said to Zhang Zhong with a smile, "Sir, Shen Wendian means that you didn't ask your subordinates to take care of your paper?" Zhang Zhong was finally sure. He nodded, "Yes, Shen Wendian must want to know why I didn't ask my subordinates to take care of it." "Guards." The last three words were shouted to the outside. Immediately, 2 guards came in and waited outside. Shen Wendan wants to know why the seal isn't in someone else's hands, but in my possession. Take him out and tell him why. You must tell her that you understand, Zhang Zhong said with a sullen face. He hated this Shen Yuan to death and wished that he could strangle him to death right now. If it wasn't for his son's preparations, it wouldn't have been easy to handle this time. The 2 guards who came in immediately understood what was going on and replied, "Yes." The 2 of them reached out with one hand each and grabbed Shen Yuan's shoulders. Like a little chick, they carried Shen Yuan out of the room. Shen Yuan finally reacted and shouted, "It's none of my business. Deputy Xiao, help. Registrar Jean, help. It's none of my business." Zhang Zhong didn't seem to hear him and continued stamping the seal seriously. Registrar Jean and Deputy Xiao didn't know what to do now. They stared at the seal in Zhang Zhong's hands and seemed to be trying to figure out what had happened. Could it be that someone saw Shen Yuan hiding the seal? Zhang Zhong ignored Registrar Jean and Deputy Xiao. As he stamped the seal, he said to the merchants calmly, "I came to Huayuan County to be the county magistrate because I want to let the people in the county live a good life. I know what you all wanted to do a few days ago. Originally, I wanted to do a good job. But I feel that it's the nature of merchants to pursue profit. There's no right or wrong in making money. So, I let you all stay and let Erniu take you to see the land. I hope you can understand my good intentions." The merchants were frightened when they heard this. If they didn't see the county magistrate stamping the seal one by one, they would have thought that this matter was over. A clever merchant immediately said, "Sir, don't worry. We understand. If there is a chance in the future, we will definitely help you to let the people in Huayuan County live a good life." Zhang Zhong finished stamping the last seal and put away the seal that belonged to the yamen. Then he said, "There's no need for that. There's a chance in the future. There's a chance in front of you now. You all have a lot of money. There are 16 of you. Let's start with 5,000 strings of cash each. With 80,000 strings of cash you can do a lot of things." "Ah, sir, isn't that too much? That ginseng." A merchant couldn't help but say. A merchant couldn't help but speak up. 5,000 strings of cash was too much, and he had to mention the ginseng. Zhang Zhong smiled and said, "The ginseng? 3 of them are here. My son's illness has been cured long ago. It's just that he's naughty and pretended to be ill. If you all want it, I'll ask someone to get it and return it to you all." "No, no, no. Sir, we don't mean that. We just want to ask if the ginseng is enough. If it's not enough, we will go and get more. Sir, we know that your family is not short of money. The money will be used on the people in the county. Sir, you are a good official, but you should have a name." Another merchant pulled the one who spoke just now to the back. He stood up and explained to Zhang Zhong. Zhang Zhong was prepared for this. He was still as polite as before. "Name? Yes. Didn't the document say that you will be fined for the land you occupy? You will pay according to the highest price of the things that can be planted on the land." "Sir, are you talking about planting flowers? But that is a field. We need to plant food. Sir, tell us what kind of plants will cost the most. We are willing to pay." This merchant should have thought of this. He thought that the most expensive thing to plant was the rice from the Zhang family. He sold the seeds by caddy. Even if he could produce 5 dan of rice from 1 mu of fertile land, it was only 500 caddies. 100 coins per caddy was only 50 strings of cash. So what? Of course we can't plant flowers. You know that my family grows black fungus, right? Then let's calculate according to the amount of black fungus. I still have about 10 dan of dried black fungus at home. When I plant them, I only took up slightly more than 1 mu of land. If we calculate less, 1 mu of land will be 5 dan of dried black fungus. How much would that cost? Zhang Zhong said slowly. His words were like thunder in the merchant's ears. This was still considered less. 5 dan of dried black fungus would be 500 caddies of dried black fungus. How much would a caddy of dried black fungus cost? The cheapest place would cost about 10 strings of cash. When there was a shortage, there was no market. Even if it was priced at 20 strings of cash, there would still be people fighting to buy it. If this was the case, each of them occupied about 2 mu of land. How much would that be? 20,000 strings of cash. It couldn't be calculated like this. Not only were the merchants confused, Registrar Official Zhan and District Deputy Xiao were also confused. They didn't want to think about the stamp for the time being. They were thinking about how much money Zhang Zhong's family had. Zhang Zhong knocked on the table and said, "How is it? Do you understand? Have you thought it through?" "Yes, yes. In the future, the land will be calculated according to the price of the vegetables in the winter. You only need to pay a few hundred strings of cash per mu of land. It's close to the capital. If you occupy that land, don't tell me you want to make a lot of money in the past." "Understood, understood. Sir, we understood just now. Each person will pay 5,000 strings of cash. We will send it to the yamen in 2 days. Not a single coin less. According to the rules, there should be 40% of the silk. Sir, don't worry, we will choose the better silk and send it to you." The merchants wiped their sweat. They just exchanged glances and knew what to do. Paying 5,000 strings of cash was better than paying 20,000 strings of cash every year. It seemed that they wouldn't be able to make money this year. It would be good if they could break even. Zhang Zhong also didn't want to ask for copper coins. Silver, copper, and silk were all used as currency. His son said that the imperial court had mandatory requirements for currency. With 80,000 strings of cash, his family could withdraw money first and then repair this and that. It was enough. How much money did the imperial court have this year? 80,000 strings of cash. It was a huge amount of money to spend on a county. Zhang Zhong was in a good mood on this matter. He comforted them. 5,000 strings of cash is not a small amount. When you finish repairing things over there, I will give you a few pointers. You will benefit a lot. Yes, sir. We will go back and prepare. When the time comes, please give us more pointers. The merchants were relieved. The Zhang family's ability to make money was needless to say. The county magistrate didn't seem like the kind of person who didn't keep his word. One by one, they happily said a few words and then left one after another. After the merchants left, only Zhang Zhong, Registrar Zhan, and Deputy Xiao were left in the room. Zhang Zhong smiled and said to the two people, "This time I have to thank the two of you for facilitating this matter. If the two of you hadn't been busy there, how could I get so much money for the yamen? I don't know how Shen Wendy's side is going. Let's go and have a look?" As he spoke, Zhang Zhong got up. Ilua's contract was in his hand. He didn't want to put it in the yamen. What if someone stole it? Even the official seal was stolen. What else couldn't be stolen? Registrar Zhan and Deputy Xiao were most afraid of Zhang Zhong mentioning this matter. However, Zhang Zhong still mentioned it. Registrar Zhan was the first to compromise. He said to Zhang Zhong, "County Magistrate, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. You can get 80,000 strings of cash for the yamen in one go. That's great. In the future, our Huayuan County will definitely catch up with Sanshui County. Milord, when this lowly one does things in the future, I hope that Milord can give me some pointers like what you just said to the merchants. This lowly one is prone to making small mistakes. If I accidentally offend Milord, please be magnanimous and not hold it against this lowly one." Registrar Zhan had to say this. He wasn't sure if Shen Wendy could handle it. If he confessed everything, what should he do? Well, not bad. Registrar Zhan has seen things clearly. If you can still do things in the yamen in the future, then do it well. The yamen is short of money. Zhang Zhong didn't want to let Registrar Zhan off so easily. If he didn't let him know how powerful he was, he wouldn't have time to deal with him if something happened again. Registrar Zhan understood and said, "You're right. Those merchants gave me and Deputy Xiao 5 strings of cash in advance. Actually, it was for the yamen. I forgot to mention it yesterday. I'll get someone to send the money over later." "That's good. What did Deputy Xiao say?" Zhang Zhong asked Deputy Xiao. Chapter 337. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao was ready to take a gamble. He believed that the seal in Zhang Zhong's hand was fake. If no one investigated this matter, it would be the truth. Anyway, the words on the seal were the same. If he still had a real seal, no one would dare to say that it was fake. But the real seal was not in his hand. It was in Shen Yuan's hand. As long as Shen Yuan said that he picked it up, he and Registrar Zhan could report it to the imperial court. Why could an official have 2 seals? What was with the fake seal? At that time, even if Zhang Zhong did not die, he would lose a layer of skin. And he and others might not have an easy time. What was he thinking? Usually, some deputy county magistrate could even use the seal of the county magistrate to do things. Did the county magistrate want to use the seal and you don't return it to him? Even so, it was better than him and others suffering. Zhang Zhong was complacent. Well, he must pull Zhang Zhong into this. Thinking of this, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao said those words to Zhang Zhong, and then ran out of the signing room. He saw Shen Yuan being taken to that direction just now. Zhang Zhong looked at the door and then turned back to look at Registrar Zhan. He asked, "Don't you want to go and have a look?" "Sir, I will follow you." "I won't go there." Deputy County Magistrate Xiao was so anxious that he wanted to keep the money that should be given to the government office. "I don't think so." Registrar Zhan looked at Zhang Zhong's fearless face and did not dare to follow him. He had lived for almost 30 years and had never seen such a strong person like Zhang Zhong. He also had never seen anyone who could be better than Zhang Zhong. He had only been in Huayuan County for a few days. He had done what he should do. He had won the hearts of the people he should win and earned the money he should earn. He had been busy following Deputy County Magistrate Xiao for a few days. As a result, the yamen runners who used to be obedient were gone. The money that was given out could not be collected. The people who were locked up were released. It was not easy to go out for a meal. What was the point of fighting? County Magistrate 1 was not at the same level as Zhang Zhong. No wonder he went to Zhangzhe Zhuangzi and never came back. Zhang Zhong looked at Registrar Zhan and hesitated. He didn't know if he should get rid of him or protect him. Either way, it was easy to handle. Both had their pros and cons, sir. What else can I do? Oh, there is still work in the mountains. I can take some money from my family to buy some things and send them there. What do you think? How could Registrar Jean not know that a single thought from Zhang Zhong could decide his future? He thought of an idea and asked Zhang Zhong. Zhang Zhong did not expect Registrar Jean to surrender so quickly. He thought for a while and said, Registrar Jean, you can't continue to be Registrar Jean. You can submit a letter of apology to your superiors and be a copywriter. Registrar Shen and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao will not be working in the future. You can take the position of copywriter. Keep some of your 5,000 strings of coins for yourself. When the time comes, rent the place at the foot of the mountain for 3 years. As for the rest of the money, just like what you said just now, buy some things for the people in the county. You know what the people lack, right? It can't be more expensive than the usual business. Registrar Jean knelt down in front of Zhang Zhong and said gratefully, Sir, I will write it later. I will be a copywriter and buy things for the people. What the people lack most now is food. It's all my fault. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao and County Magistrate Wen's fault. We collected an extra year's rent and didn't give them a reduction in rent when we worked more hours. Even if I were to be cut into pieces, it would be a light punishment. My lord, I didn't keep a single copper coin and used it all to buy food. Keep it. You can't have no money at home. A poor official is not necessarily a good one. Only when your family is stable can you put your mind on the people. In the future, you will be in charge of the matters on the mountain. Half a month later, if any of the people says that you are not good, you don't have to do the documents anymore. The reason why Zhang Zhong did this was to put on a show and make preparations for the future. He wanted to tell his future opponents that as long as they didn't go too far, there was still room for negotiation. He wanted to keep one alive and fight the other. Registrar Jean did not care about what he was used for. He just wanted to protect himself now. Shun Wendy and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao were finished. If they were to report, they would have to report it to the Ministry of Personnel first. The officials there would not let them off easily. As long as they were in charge, they would have their own deputies. If they did not teach these two people a lesson, what if their deputies learned from them in the future? What would happen then? Well, you can do it now. Zhang Zhong finished speaking and walked out with his hands behind his back. Registrar Jean stood up and ran to the desk. He started to write a letter of apology. In a house in a courtyard behind the yamen, 2 bodyguards were listening to Shen Yuan. Shen Yuan did not need to be forced to confess. He just said it directly. However, what he said had nothing to do with the seal. The 2 guards were not in a hurry and sat down to listen. It's like this. Just now, I said that when the county magistrate came to the county, only 3 people went to welcome him. I didn't go. This may have offended the county magistrate. But I had no choice at that time. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao was waiting for me there. Let's not talk about this first. Let's talk about that first. Why didn't the county magistrate let others take the seal? I think that a person as powerful as the county magistrate should have people around him who have done everything well. As long as the county magistrate says something, everyone can do it. After all, the county magistrate is capable. For example, Zhang Zhuangzi. Shen Yuan talked to the 2 guards. Seeing that the 2 guards did not torture him, he was relieved. He thought that he could leave later. As long as he went home, he would give the seal to Deputy County Magistrate Xiao. He would not do this anymore. While he was talking, the door of the room was suddenly kicked open from the outside. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao came in and said to Shen Yuan directly, "Don't say so much to them. The county magistrate's seal was picked up by us. The one he is using now is a fake one. You and I will report it together." Looking at Deputy County Magistrate Xiao, who rushed in and listened to his words, Shen Yuan was dumbfounded. The 2 guards, however, laughed. One of them winked at the other. The other stood up and caught Deputy County Magistrate Xiao. "Separate them. Ask what kind of seal the county magistrate used and where he picked it up," a guard said. The 2 guards covered the mouths of Shen Yuan and Deputy County Magistrate Xiao at the same time in case they colluded. At this time, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao felt that something was wrong. When he looked at Shen Yuan, there was an inexplicable sadness in Shen Yuan's eyes. He did not say anything just now. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao thought about it carefully and understood. He regretted in his heart. Why did he rush in? When he was dragged out by the guards, he did not struggle. He closed his eyes and let them do whatever they want. After Deputy County Magistrate Xiao was taken away, Shen Yuan, who was released by the guards, did not need to be asked. He said directly, "I will tell you everything. You are such a good-for-nothing. We arranged for someone to steal the county magistrate's seal. Shen Yuan accepted his fate and told them everything that had happened. Not only that, he also told them what he had done in the past. In any case, he was only forced to participate. If he was sentenced to death, the other two would not have a good ending either. It was too cowardly to follow these two people. They could only get a little money every time. They had to do all the dirty work. At the critical moment, they were in a mess. If they had to die, they would die together." After listening to Shen Yuan, the guard found a scribe and asked Shen Yuan to repeat himself. There was someone there who was easier to remember. After Shen Yuan finished writing, he asked Shen Yuan to put his fingerprint on the scribe and threw him into the prison cell to accompany Zhang Damatzi. That way he would have company. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao was different from Shen Yuan. When the guard asked him to speak, he just kept his mouth shut and didn't say a word. He was like a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water. The guard waited for a while. Seeing that he didn't say anything, he didn't make things difficult for him. He also threw him into the cell. When they entered the cell, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao was locked up opposite Shen Yuan. They could still see each other and talk. However, Shen Yuan didn't have any intention to talk to Deputy County Magistrate Xiao. He just stood there motionless, facing the wall and smelling the unpleasant smell of the cell that hadn't been cleaned for many years. "Shen Yuan, what did you say to them? Hurry up and tell me. Otherwise, your life will be in danger." Deputy County Magistrate Xiao was full of anger. He asked Shen Yuan loudly. In fact, he wanted to use this voice to suppress the fear in his heart. Shen Yuan was still the same. He was not moved at all. "Shen Yuan, tell me. I still have a way to get us out. Registrar Zhan is still outside. Tell me quickly." "I will give you a large sum of money, 500 strings of coins." Deputy County Magistrate Xiao did not give up. He lowered his voice and persuaded him again. "Shut up, Xiaoqi, you bastard. I am working for you. Now that I am in, you don't want to save me. Now you are in, right? Haha, I have a companion. Come on, Xiaoqi, tell me, what wicked things have you done these years?" Pockmarked Zhang's voice came from the cell next to him. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao turned his head and found that Pockmarked Zhang was in the next cell. He was reaching out his hand to him. It seemed that he wanted to touch him. Moving to the side, Deputy County Magistrate Xiao stayed away from Pockmarked Zhang. Then he said, "Pockmarked Zhang, I helped you to suppress the crimes you committed in the past. Otherwise, you will not be able to get out of here." "Bullshit, I only needed to be locked up for a few months for those crimes. It is you who are cruel. As long as I don't give you money, you won't let me out. I gave you 2 strings of coins. If I had known, I would have been in here that year. Now all the others are out. You even give me 3 strings of coins a day. Now that I have so much money, I will have a few strings of coins. None of you are good. Son of a bitch, you deserve this. Come here, son of a bitch. Let me have a good look at you. Have you made any progress these days?" Pockmarked Zhang stared at Deputy County Magistrate Xiao. He even dug out the things that happened in the past. Deputy County Magistrate Xiao was originally afraid. When he heard Pockmarked Zhang's words, he turned around and said, "Bah! Let me tell you, I will be able to get out in a while. I will find someone to deal with you." At this moment, the door opened with a crash. A Yamen runner came in and shouted, "Pockmarked Zhang, the Lord said that you can't occupy a cell by yourself." 2 more people came in. "Who do you want to be with?" Chapter 338. Half a day later, Zhang Matzi walked out of the cell happily. He had become an honorable bailiff in Huayuan County. Deputy Xiao also walked out. He looked up at the night sky after the rain stopped and said to a bailiff beside him, "I want to ask Zhang Zhong which one is the fake one?" The bailiff didn't know either. He turned around and looked at the guard. The guard had already gotten the document he wanted. He smiled at Xiao Qi and said, "What is the real one? Which one is the fake one? And Xin Yuan, didn't you ask why the official didn't give the seal to others? You are wrong. Look, this is mine." As the guard spoke, he took out a seal from his bosom and flipped it over for the two of them to see. On the seal was the seal of the Huayuan County Magistrate. "Let's go. Don't be silly. You cheated me of 2 strings of money. I will go to your house." Zhang Matzi pushed Deputy Xiao hard when he was about to figure it out. "Humph, I let you be a bailiff. Zhang Zhong will be in trouble." Xiao Qi sneered and said. Zhang Matzi pushed him again. Pockmarked Zhang pushed him again and said, "Bullshit. I did do bad things in the past, but only a few people. You can be the deputy county magistrate, so why can't I be the yamen runner? Don't die. I'll do my job properly in the future, and I'll visit you when the time comes." That night, countless bailiffs surrounded the house of Xiao. There was still a lot of money in the house. They couldn't let others take it away. The county magistrate didn't have the right to confiscate the house of the deputy county magistrate. They could only report it and let the higher-ups decide. Zhang Zhong finally put down all his worries today. He only waited for the money to come. He started to do civil works in Huayuan County. He started to build roads and some houses in the county. In this way, he could help the people get some money. With the food bought by Jean Wendy, the people could wait until the autumn harvest. The people who had no labor at home could send food directly. It was a benefit of Huayuan County. He couldn't let them starve to death. As for the business matters, except for the shop at the foot of the mountain, he didn't care about the other places. He just waited for the foreign businessmen to invest. Feeling the coolness after the rain, Zhang Zhong was prepared to return to Jinlai restaurant to have a meal with his son and daughter-in-law before heading to the other side of the mountain to take a look. As soon as he arrived outside Zhang Xiaobao's courtyard, a fragrant wind blew in through the open door. Zhang Zhong took a deep breath and walked directly to the kitchen. At the entrance, he saw his son and daughter-in-law sitting there. Between them was a basin filled with stuffing. Each of them held a small piece of bamboo in one hand and a piece of dough in the other hand. They used the small piece of bamboo to scoop up the filling and smeared it on the dough. With a move of Wei Wei's hand, a wonton was ready. There was soup boiling in the pot, waiting to be used to cook wontons. Beside it were coriander, sesame oil, chopped green onions, pickled mustard, seaweed, and shrimps. It seemed that they were all prepared to eat wontons. "Father, you're back? How much did you cheat? Oh, how much did you earn?" This time Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan heard Zhang Zhong's footsteps. Zhang Xiaobao turned his head and asked, 80,000 strings of coins. How is it? Zhang Zhong was happy. He pointed at the various things and asked, "Are these all for wontons? It's a little too much. It's better to ask for less. Now they will feel bad. Father, take out a few thousand strings of coins and build some buildings around the shops or warehouses that can serve as a foil to them. When they are done, we will cooperate with them. We have to let the other businessmen know that Huayuan County values them the most." Zhang Xiaobao was afraid that the other businessmen who wanted to come to Huayuan County would not dare to come after knowing the situation. After wrapping another wonton, Zhang Xiaobao pointed at the things and said, "Father, the preparation was too rushed. Originally, there should be some other things. The wontons that I made are different from others. This wonton does not have salt. I only put pickled mustard at the bottom of the bowl. This wonton is filled with pork and shrimps. It must be fresh, so I use dried scallops, fish, and lamb bones to boil the soup. Later, I will mix it with chicken mince. We still have to wait for an hour. When the time comes, I will put seaweed, shrimps, and other things on top. Today I made it in a hurry. There is still some pickled mustard, vinegar, and soy sauce. You can put whatever you want. Father, next time I will prepare more things and make more dishes for you." When Zhang Zhong heard what his son said, he sighed in his heart. After so much preparation, he still said that it was not enough. If it was prepared, how much would a wonton cost? A big bowl of wonton that cost 2 copper coins outside was directly boiled in boiling water. Who would boil soup for you? After it was boiled, you still had to mix the soup. Zhang family's restaurants did not have this kind of method. It seemed that his son and daughter-in-law had left the good things for themselves to enjoy. Well, when those businessmen finish building the place, you tell me what to do. Zhang Zhong agreed. He sniffed twice, swallowed his saliva, turned around and went to the dining hall to wait. Half an hour later, 1 big bowl and 2 small bowls of wonton were carried by Zhang Xiaobao. The soup that was about to overflow the bowl did not spill a single drop. Zhang Xiaobao walked quickly. Zhang Zhong dipped one in vinegar and ate one in soy sauce. When he looked up, he saw that his son and daughter-in-law did not touch anything. They directly scooped up a wonton with a spoon and ate it with the soup. He also ate one. It was indeed different. It was fresh without touching anything. These 2 little guys, why didn't they say so earlier? They brought him vinegar and soy sauce, but they did not eat it. The 3 of them ate dinner happily. When Zhang Zhong was about to go to the other side of the mountain, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan each carried a bag and followed him. What are you 2 doing? When Zhang Zhong walked to the gate of the courtyard, he found that his son and daughter-in-law were following him. The 2 of them did not make any sound when they walked. Felt like they suddenly floated over. Father, since I ate the ginseng, I am not in a coma anymore. It's a good opportunity to walk around. Zhang Xiaobao stood up straight and walked 2 steps before he heard the sound of footsteps. If other children said so, their parents would definitely not agree. Zhang Zhong was an exception. He nodded and said, "Be careful when you go there. There is digging and padding there. Don't fall into the pit." When the 3 of them walked out of the courtyard, the guards also came. When they saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, they led an extra horse. They knew that these 2 little guys could ride horses and their riding skills were not bad. They also stared at them, wanting to see the 2 of them fly on the horse one after another. But Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not intend to do that at all. They opened their arms and let Zhang Zhong carry them one by one. Under the guard's disappointment, Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao, "This time I am in front, and I am not running fast." The speed at which the group moved was indeed not very fast. It was much slower than the speed at which Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had sprinted back to the manor. After 2 hours, the group arrived at the foot of the mountain. Just as Zhang Zhong had expected, the people were still working. Even some of the slightly older children were working together under the light of the torches. They were dragging baskets filled with mud to other places. The younger children were holding small torches in their hands to light up the adults. There were many similar torches on the side, and they would change the torches after a while. The old people who could not do physical work gathered together and chatted while weaving baskets with vines and other things cut from the mountain to hold the soil. In the pot there was still food stewing. The cook kneaded the brown rice, noodles and wild vegetables together and sent them into the pot to be steamed. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan grabbed the reins and slipped out of the horse. Holding hands, they strolled around the cooking area. Looking at the vegetable dumplings, Zhang Xiaobao frowned. He then went to the pot and smelled the stewing food. He said to Wang Wan, "The stewing food is not bad, but there is meat in it. The rice is a bit wrong. Of course it can't compare to the wontons we make ourselves, but for others this is already not bad. To make food that normal people can fill their stomachs, this is a skill." Wang Wan looked at the children who helped and felt uncomfortable in her heart. In Zhang Xiaobao and Zhuangzi, it was impossible for such a thing to happen. But looking at the smiles on those people's faces, she felt that this was already very good. Those expressions were not fake. Zhang Xiaobao pulled Wang Wan and walked around again. He found that there was no other dish, only a stew dish. Zhang Xiaobao thought that there were a lot of wild vegetables in it, but he felt that something was wrong. Suddenly, Zhang Xiaobao stopped and said to Wang Wan, "I understand. Look at the children. Don't you feel that something is missing? What is it? Look at the children's necks. They seem to be a little thicker than normal. They lack iodine, so we have to think of a way quickly. Otherwise, it will affect their intelligence. There is still some dried kelp at home. Ask someone to go back and get it quickly." This thing seems to be missing. Do you have a way to make iodized salt? Wang Wan also found it. It was dark and there were only torches. It was not obvious when she looked at it just now, but now that she looked carefully it was different. There were a few children in their teens, and their necks were obviously thicker than other children of the same age. If I can make iodized salt, then I can make a lot of things. The fish by the sea is not valuable, and so is the kelp. In the future I have to send people to the sea to buy it. There is no need to wait for a sea boat. A bigger boat will do. It will be close to the sea. Find some local fishermen as guides, bypass the reefs and dry the sea goods. The size of the sea goods can be reduced a lot. Zhang Xiaobao began to think about how to make the people in the north like to eat fish, especially things in the sea. The disease of iodine deficiency was really disgusting. Everything else was fine, but it affected people's intelligence, which was unbearable. Wang Wan also agreed with Zhang Xiaobao's plan. It was not that he had seen it, and there was obviously a way. He could not pretend that he did not see it. Chapter 339. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan went over and told Zhang Zhong about the matter. Zhang Zhong thought about it and said, actually, there have been books about this, but the people here basically don't like to eat other fish except for shark's fin and abalone. They are okay with shrimp and crab, but they are even more unwilling to eat fish from the sea. When Zhang Xiaobao heard his father's words, he began to worry about this matter. Wang Wan also lowered her head and tried to think of a solution. Xiaobao, I can't think of anything. Besides letting Li Sun help promote the fish, can we let him do this kind of thing again? Even if he does, others may not be able to adapt to the taste of seafood. Xiaobao, I believe you can do it. Show us what you can do. Wang Wan couldn't think of anything, so she had to let Zhang Xiaobao come up with a good idea. Zhang Xiaobao couldn't think of a solution at the moment. The main thing was that when he thought of a solution, he never thought of a single existence. He had to consider the follow-up together. He was already used to this way of thinking. The two of them held hands and could only continue to stroll, thinking as they walked. As they walked, they came to the side of a pot that was stewing vegetables. The wooden lid of the pot wasn't tightly closed, revealing a gap about 2 inches wide. A child of about 10 years old, taking advantage of the fact that no one was paying attention, led a child of 5 or 6 years old into the pot. In his hand was a peeled branch with a few mushrooms strung on it. He carefully put the branch into the pot and said to the child next to him, "Little sister, these mushrooms are ready to eat in a while. There is still the taste of meat in them. Wait a little longer and I will let you eat it." Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao watched and listened. Wang Wan suddenly had a warm feeling. A big brother was cooking for his little sister, and he had to do it secretly. How could he not know that when the two of them came over, the old man and old lady sitting there had already seen what they were holding in their hands? If the mushrooms were poisonous, they would definitely be stopped. They wouldn't lose anything by boiling the mushrooms with the soup in the pot, so no one cared. But when Zhang Xiaobao saw this scene, he thought differently. He held Wang Wan's hand tightly and said to Wang Wan, "I have a way to make them eat seafood." "What is it?" Wang Wan didn't expect Zhang Xiaobao to have an idea in such a short time. "It's simple. They don't like to eat fish. Let's make the fish into fish balls, shrimps, and so on. We can also make shrimp balls and crab balls from crab shells. Let's just buckle the kelp and string it up with a small stick. We can buy spicy skewers. It's not easy to make spicy. We can ask people to make the sauce lighter. The main thing is the spiciness. The numbness is simple. It's just pepper. If we fry it, it will be pepper oil. It's also called sesame oil, not sesame oil. Our side is good. Shaanxi. Do you know where Shaanxi's pepper is good? Hanqing. It's about 3 hours to the east from here to Beijing. If you head slightly north, the Sichuan peppercorns there are the best. But I still decided to use our local peppercorns first. I don't care if it's good. I don't have any obligation to improve their production and marketing of Sichuan peppercorns. The people here don't like to eat seafood and fish because they treat those things as main dishes. Let's change our way of thinking and treat those things as snacks and dishes with wine. We can do big food stalls. It can solve some of the people's work, make money, and let more people like those things. When Zhang Xiaobao saw 2 children eating mushrooms, he thought of this. Many people usually don't eat kelp, but it's different when it's in Malatang. There will always be people who will choose 2 skewers and various kinds of balls. Wang Wan blinked her big eyes. She also felt that this method was good. She usually doesn't eat fish balls, but she will eat some when it's in Malatang. In this way it can solve some of the people's work and let the people here replenish their iodine. And then, Wang Wan suddenly asked Zhang Xiaobao. And then what? Zhang Xiaobao was puzzled. How many times have I told you? Don't play dumb with me. You know what I'm asking. What kind of benefits can it bring to us in the future? Wang Wan now likes to interrogate Zhang Xiaobao. Every time Zhang Xiaobao comes up with an idea, he has a backup plan. She thinks this is very interesting. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly understood. Oh, you are talking about this. Then the people here can sell it. Our ships can transport it first and make a lot of money. The kelp is used to feed the ducks at the seaside. In our restaurant, we can also make a better Malatang and widen the gap with the ordinary Malatang. No, Comrade Zhang Xiaobao, you have to know that I can also think of this kind of thing. It's definitely not the last resort. Go on. Wang Wan was not swayed. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head helplessly. I can't live with you. You always doubt my words. We have to trust each other, you know? Well then, when more people like to eat, they will go there to buy seafood. Rich businessmen can use big ships. How much do you think a ship can carry? They can't afford to wait, so what should we do? Let's use small boats. From the Yellow River to here, there is only one way for small boats to go. The fastest, most convenient and the safest way is, that is the river that connects here. The more people use it, the more money the government office earns, and the more money we earn. Not bad, Zhang Xiaobao, good plan. Then what? Wang Wan felt that she hadn't gotten everything out of him yet, so she helped him finish the rest of the story and asked another question. Zhang Xiaobao was depressed. He patted his forehead with his small hand and waited for Wang Wan to reach out and help him. Finally, he said, there are also tubo and tujue. Don't they lack iodine? Don't they want to eat Malatang? Especially the tujue. The weather on the grassland changes quickly. When it's cold, they can eat Malatang and drink our wine. Isn't it good? But they don't have seafood. Let's tell them the method. Sell them the chili sauce, and let them buy seafood in exchange for their cows and sheep. It's good for our farming here. And we can also have more milk for the children to drink. You know, I have a special feeling for children. Well, that's pretty good. The 2 children scalded a bunch of mushrooms, and you connected all these things. You can promote the development of several industries and also improve the livelihood of the people. Then what? Wang Wan did not give up. She continued to pat Zhang Xiaobao's forehead. Okay, I'll say one more thing. There's really nothing else. You have to believe me. When there's rapid exchange of business and goods, whether it's intentional or not, we can always exchange information with other places. Many times the victory of a war is related to logistics and information. We can obtain more information. Don't ask me anymore. I won't say anything even if you ask me again. It's against the harmony of the heavens. It's crueler than Zhuge Liang burning the rattan armor soldiers. If I really do it one day, I will use oil to light up the 7-star lantern. Zhang Xiaobao said another beneficial thing and refused to say anything else. Wang Wan understood that Zhang Xiaobao still had a killer move on this matter. It was the kind that was very lethal. If it was someone else, she might not believe it, but Zhang Xiaobao was always an exception. Okay, I won't ask anymore. If there's really a need to do that one day, bring me along. Now we have to send a message to Li Sun. It's most convenient for him to do this. He's really a good kid. Sometimes he's childish, sometimes he's mature. Later on, he's always been sincere to us. It doesn't matter whether he's using us or not. We're also using him. As long as we don't have too big of a conflict of interest with him, he will help us. He's better than some of the princes now. If we really cooperate with those who have a chance to fight for the position, we have to worry about being stabbed in the back. Wang Wan was already very satisfied. She did not want to continue asking. She was not satisfied with forcing Zhang Xiaobao to say one backup plan after another. She was satisfied with Zhang Xiaobao as a person. He was really different from normal people. It was fine when he was not moving, but when he moved, everything was linked. It was just a simple malatang, but he could think of so many things. It was hard to believe. But who would have thought that Coca-Cola could occupy such a big market? Who would have thought that KFC could make so much money for so many years? The things they sold were still calculated according to the international price, but the price they bought was the local price. She believed that with Zhang Xiaobao's operation, the malatang would become popular. As long as there was no real chili, then no one would refuse the sauce made with mountain chili seedlings. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were here because they saw the two children eating the hot mushrooms. After a while, the mushrooms were finally cooked. The older brother swallowed his saliva, smelled it, smiled and handed it to his sister's mouth. He said, "Little sister, you can eat now. See if it's delicious. Brother will find more for you tomorrow. It's too late today. Brother, you eat one first." The little girl stared at the string of mushrooms without blinking and said a very normal sentence that made people feel emotional. "Don't eat first. Wait a minute." Wang Wan shouted, pulled Zhang Xiaobao and ran over. She opened the package Zhang Xiaobao was carrying and took out a small bamboo tube. Under the watchful eyes of the two children and the others, he unscrewed the lid of the bamboo tube and took out a small brush. There was still something stuck on the brush. He gently brushed the string of mushrooms twice, put it away, and took out another bamboo tube. He pinched some salt and pepper inside and sprinkled a small amount on the mushrooms. Then she said to the two children, "Well, eat it. How about you taste it?" The two children didn't know the two children who were younger than them. They were just stunned and didn't think to hide. Seeing the little girl put so many things on the mushrooms, they hesitated and didn't know whether to eat it or not. There was a steward next to them who knew Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Seeing that the two children didn't eat, he quickly came over and said, "This is the young master of the county magistrate's family, and this is the young masters. They are together. Eat it." Chapter 340. When the older brother took a bite and said that it was delicious, Wang Wan was relieved. It seemed that this malatang was still edible. At this time, the people who were working also stopped. They casually washed their hands in the basin and wiped their hands on their clothes. They were considered to be hygienic. One by one, they lined up and went to the various cooking places to get food. There weren't so many metal utensils, so they used wooden bowls. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already eaten, but children digested quickly. At this time they felt that they could still eat. The two of them didn't eat and directly asked someone to serve them a bowl of stew. The person who served the stew washed the bowls again and again before serving them a bowl. It was the same as what Zhang Zhong had eaten before. There were many pieces of fatty meat inside. Fortunately, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were more tenacious. The stew was also stewed for a long time, so it wasn't greasy. They picked up a piece, dipped it in the garlic sauce and stuffed it into their mouths. It was quite fragrant. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan ate a few pieces and began to observe the others. Those people were eating more happily, but they were not willing to eat the food. After eating a mouthful of food, they would bite a few mouthfuls of rice. "Xiaobao, it seems that we still don't have enough food. Tomorrow, ask the family to bring some radish strips and pickled vegetables. Those things go well with the rice and are not expensive. Also, prepare some salted eggs for the children." Wang Wan discovered the problem and immediately wanted to solve it. The food and drinks here were paid for by the yamen. Why didn't they use that money? "And bring some tomorrow. I have a small jar of stinky tofu in my backpack now. Take it out for them to eat. Ask the people nearby to give it to them. Later on, get people to make more fermented bean curd. Make some improvements and grind it a few more times. 1 jin of beans can make 4 jin of tofu. At that time, only bean cakes could make 5 jin of tofu. Then, directly make fermented bean curd. There are a few salt pans here. Salt is not that expensive. According to the way they eat, they can eat well with 2 more pieces of fermented bean curd. It's better than eating salted beans and sorghum rice directly." Zhang Xiaobao thought of the most common things. If possible, it could be made into salted tofu. That would be good with wine, not to mention eating. Wang Wan didn't hesitate. She opened Zhang Xiaobao's backpack and found the jar containing the stinky tofu. The two of them had prepared a lot of things in their backpack before coming here. He had come here to see who was suitable to give it to and help Zhang Xiaobao's father get closer to him. In addition to these things, there were also candies. He would give them to him tomorrow morning. The stinky tofu was not expensive, but these people could not buy it with their own money. If they were really rich, who would eat wild vegetables? When the stinky tofu was taken out, the people who were further away did not know. But when Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were submerged in the stench, they knew. One by one they looked over. Those who got the stinky tofu were too embarrassed to eat it all by themselves. They divided the 1-inch wide piece of stinky tofu into 4 pieces and gave it to others. They used their chopsticks to poke a little bit on it and put it into their mouth. It was a kind of enjoyment. Zhang Xiaobao also had a piece of stinky tofu in front of him. He also used his chopsticks to poke a little bit and put it into his mouth. Xiaobao, can you be more serious? Why are you learning from others? Wang Wan said helplessly. Learning from others? I didn't learn from others. Zhang Xiaobao looked up and understood. I really didn't learn from others. If you give me a piece of stinky tofu or fermented bean curd, I can eat it for 3 days. If you give me a salted egg, I can eat it for a week. These 2 things have become a habit for me. At that time I was rich. I asked someone to make salted goose eggs with salt water. I ate them for half a month and still had some left. I didn't have time to eat those, so I accompanied you here. What if it's an ostrich egg? Wang Wan asked. Then you have to use more salt water. Otherwise it will go bad in the end. Actually, it doesn't matter if it goes bad, as long as it doesn't grow hair. I like to eat stinky eggs. It's better than stinky tofu. You should eat some too. Otherwise, you will feel uncomfortable when you smell it. Zhang Xiaobao seriously explained to Wang Wan. He even pushed the stinky tofu in front of Wang Wan. Wang Wan used her chopsticks and picked up 1/10 of the stinky tofu. Seeing this, Zhang Xiaobao felt a little heartache. She ate too much in one bite. What's wrong? Are you feeling heartache? Xiaobao, I really don't know what to say to you. You are usually so generous, but when it comes to food, you become so harsh, especially to yourself. Do you really have to be like this? Don't you know that this is also a flaw? It's easy to be used by others. Wang Wan swallowed the stinky tofu and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the remaining stinky tofu and used his chopsticks to touch it. He put it into his mouth and said, "No one has ever used this flaw of mine. In fact, I have always been waiting for them to use it, but who dares to? Are you doing this on purpose?" Wang Wan felt that this was a weakness that Zhang Xiaobao left for others to use. No, but it's not good for people to use this to attack me. I am a kind of nostalgia. You also know how I lived when I was young. I am very devout about eating things. It has nothing to do with how much money I have. I like to eat the bones of fish and tomato sauce. When I was 9 years old, I entered a movie theater for free. I saw a war movie that was filmed more than 100 years ago. They fought and fought until there was nothing to eat. On the battlefield, there were only 3 people left. They found an enemy tank. There was a salted cucumber and 2 fish bones inside. When they were eating, they said that they had never eaten such a fragrant fish bone before. At that time, I already thought that it was delicious. Other fish bones were not easy to bite, but I found that the fish bones of the fish and tomato sauce were edible. I stole some money and sold some canned food. After 5 meals, there was still a lot of soup left. Do you know what I am trying to say by saying so much? Zhang Xiaobao suddenly asked Wang Wan. Wang Wan thought for a moment and nodded. You're saying that when a person likes to eat something, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's that delicious. Instead, it's because under certain circumstances, the person is left with a psychological cue. It's similar to self-hypnosis. You're thinking, I want to use this point to promote our Malatang. Li Longji created a drama, so why can't we create a drama? If we want to use a drama to promote our food, we will need to promote our Malatang first. We need to find a representative. Otherwise, Li Longji will ask about this and that when he has nothing better to do. If we ask about this, he will be targeted. Also, we can develop our crosstalk skit and even storytelling. What do you remember so far? When do I have the time to listen to storytelling? Do you remember? Wang Wan felt that this idea was good. but she only cared about learning things in the past. Yes, I have heard of two. One is the 7 heroes and 5 righteous men, and the other is Bao Gongxuan. Do you think it will work? Zhang Xiaobao said helplessly. Wang Wan also felt depressed. It is the Kaiyuan era now. If they really create Bao Heizi, how many plots will they need to change? If they have the time, they can also think of one. Xiaobao, why don't we change Journey to the West? Or Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Water Margin, and Dream of the Red Chamber. I have read these 4 books a few times. Wang Wan thought of these 4 books. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head. Let's talk about Journey to the West first. What is he promoting? Tang. Oh, it's Chun. What does he do? Monk, it's fine in the past. But in the current era, do you dare to mention Journey to the West? Also the Three Kingdoms. In the early stages, Zhuge Liang was portrayed so well. But later on it's over. The orthodoxy is gone. Will Li Longji admit that he is not orthodox? You don't want to mention Romance of the Three Kingdoms. That's fine. But can't he read the books himself? Also, Water Margin is a story from the Song dynasty. You can change it to suit the Tang dynasty environment, but can you change the thinking of Water Margin? As for Dream of the Red Chamber, it will be difficult to change it. The main problem is the language. The Beijing accent is not Mandarin. Nor is it similar to Cantonese and Hakka. The reason why we can understand it is because I have been to many places. You might have specially learned it. That Beijing accent is also called Suzhou accent, which means Beijing Suzhou City. The Beijing accent of Dream of the Red Chamber is different from ours. It should be called Qing Beijing accent. Why don't you ask if you have eaten? How should you answer? Have you eaten? There's food could also be considered a Beijing accent, but that was not the case for the Red Chamber. The most common saying in the Red Chamber was I've eaten Momo, or I've eaten Momo. When you answered, you could not say there's food or I've eaten Momo. That was not the Red Chamber's style. You had to say I've invited or I've ordered. That was the Red Chamber's style. How do you arrange it? How do you match the plot? Wang Wan was dumbfounded, especially when it came to Dream of the Red Chamber. Hearing Zhang Xiaobao speak so clearly, it was really difficult to distinguish. Xiaobao, do you think the style of Dream of the Red Chamber is real or fake? What is fake is real and what is real is fake. Who knows if it is real or fake? Understanding the affairs of the world is knowledge, and experience in human relationships is literature. Don't you think so? Zhang Xiaobao gave a specious answer. Wang Wan did not care about whether it was real or fake. She stared at Zhang Xiaobao and said, Zhang Xiaobao, I couldn't tell. You are opening and closing your mouth. You are using the words of Dream of the Red Chamber. Does that mean you have some research on Dream of the Red Chamber? What research? I'm annoyed. It's like today you love me, tomorrow I love her, later she dies, later I become a monk. Come go leave stay. It's always the same feeling. There's also one time I said, disgusting. Hurry up and eat. Those 2 pieces of fat, one for each of us. I'll eat the big one, you can eat the small one. Zhang Xiaobao's mind was not on this at all. He gave a perfunctory reply and started eating again. Wang Wan blankly picked up the small piece of fat and pressed it hard on the plate of garlic sauce. When a lot of garlic stuck to the fat, she opened her mouth and stuffed it in. Xiaobao, on the other hand, was much smarter. He crushed the fatty meat on the plate and poured some soup onto the plate. He raised his head and drank it in one gulp. He grabbed a piece of ginger and threw it into his mouth. After chewing for a while, he finally felt much better. The commoners didn't know that what the 2 children were talking about could become a reality. They only knew that the county magistrate had driven his guards to the side to eat, and even brought the children along. It seemed that he had never treated himself as an outsider, and brought his family and the commoners together. Was there a better county magistrate than him? The commoners ate happily. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also ate a lot. Zhang Zhong was willing to see this kind of thing. Just as he was about to say something, 2 fast horses came from the direction of the county. Reporting. 20 li downstream of the pier. A merchant fleet was intercepted. 20 ships of goods, don't rob them. The person who came did not even get off the horse and shouted loudly. Zhang Zhong was shocked. He turned his head to look at his son and daughter-in-law. Zhang Xiaobao put down his chopsticks and said, I gave you face but you don't want face. Tomorrow let's go and see who is so bold. It shouldn't be someone from Huayuan County. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.